Yeah. And of course, we've got Bimg Snake Lady and Vrail Alo being played by A1 Spooty Boots.
Yep.
That's her, all right.
Sure am.
and of course, we've got our adorable grung frog person druid Floop being played by KC, the Killing Chick.
Dwarf. Wow.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive!
It wouldn't be the 18
I love how
without
much
that line.
surface moss you are truly gathering. It fills my heart with joy.
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
Surface moss.
You're gonna come back with so much exotic surface moss. Like you're gonna have to hold like a little exhibition for all the stuff you found, all the stories you have.
I grab at least 2 portions of them because I want to give one portion to my cousin and another one to the creepy moss lady of my village.
Oh
That's
my
what
God.
I
Yeah,
aspire
she's
to
gonna
be,
thrilled.
honestly. Creepy moss lady.
Creepy moss lady, and of course, we've got Keeper, our local Thrycreen monk, our bugman, being played by Warden.
Gas, gas, gas. I'm gonna step on the gas. You're nice. Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast. Leaping across fucking rooftops. And last but certainly not least, of course, we've got our goblin artificer, Zax Triar, being played by A1 Chaskar.
Insert musical cuts of Iron Man.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, yeah, I should get a button. No, I can't get a button for that.
No.
That's copyrighted.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yup.
Marvel,
Dang it.
Disney,
We
the
put
mouse will come for me.
We put this stuff on YouTube. Don't.
What if you
Yeah.
what if you put in a shitty like MIDI cover of it? Like we used to do back in the fucking early 2000s on our MySpace pages.
Chip tunes. Yes.
Good lord. All the players are A1. That's right.
There you
oh
go.
my god. And also, thank you, Rainer, for your subscription. 45 months, currently on a 19-month streak, so close to 4 years of subscriptions. Looking forward to A-Team Adventures after running into some quote-unquote friends of theirs last week.
Oh,
yes, indeed, as the town of Abraniel last week with the B-Team ran into that town to go pick up an orphan kid that they placed within the care of some of the spy network people in that village. Did come into the city to find that it was on fire and currently under siege by its own people. Like a lot of the citizens were sort of fighting each other. There was a lot of confusion. And running through the fire, they saw Abigail P. Gator, Keeper's friend, also known as Keeper.
The fur kick.
Yeah, Furkick was running
Okay,
along
yeah, you're
through
getting
there as
you're giving
well.
us spoilers.
As well as a certain somebody. Alton Wesley.
Good. Now I know
no
where he
spoilers.
is. I gotta go to.
You guys are
Abraniel
playing over
now.
there. Yeah. But
You
this
know,
time
for-
we come to Vrogakal, the Dwarven Kingdom, where the A-Team finds themselves in the sort of hall, literally the Hall of the Mountain King, making a case for their friend Garrick Stonetooth, in that he should not be executed and should be allowed to craft a ship of some design. I'm going to come down to here, and I'm going to move this down to about yay, so that you guys have about yay. That should be good. And I think this is the one I was using. Don't think it was, but we'll go with it anyway.
Sure.
So you now find yourselves within the hall, standing before the High King Thorgrim Grudgebearer. The oppressive heat from the large braziers and the molten lava spewing forth from some of the statues around the room make for an interesting setting as he sits upon his throne, the large tome in front of him now shut as he looks to each of you. The height of his throne brings him about head space to each of you. So like he's standing on basically sitting at par height with some of the more humanoid members of your team. The stones and windows behind him glow with an arcane hue as he looks down at each of you. Desperate attempts not to croak out of stress. That's right, Floof. And actually, that's a very good point. Thank you for reminding me. I need to mute that tab. There we go. Oh, also, thank you. Dungeon Mechanics has followed us. Hello and welcome. Liquid hot magma. That's right.
And thank you for the subscription, Phoenix.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you for the subscription, Phoenix. Hell yeah. And KC is also resubbed tier 2 for 50 months in a row. Thank you so much. As you guys are here in the hall, Thorgrim did to each of you basically introduce himself and ask that you are here to, in essence, plead for the life of your friend. To which he then begins. Each of you has entered these halls, looking to speak on behalf of one Garrick Steamhaft, now by the name of Stonetooth. Tell me then, why you say that when he went against our traditions, our laws, that he should be allowed then continuing to live, let alone build blasphemous machinery in our engineering halls. He patiently waits for you to respond.
Vrail moves. I was gonna say step forward, but moves forward.
Yeah, because you're in your big snake form, right?
You're damn right I am.
Hell yeah.
And she says,
Keeper is muted.
Yeah, Keeper's muted.
They're sorry. As Keeper goes to move, take a step forward, but then as he sees and move forward as well, he steps back into place and waits his turn.
Okay.
The dwarven people are clearly one of innovation, though slow and deliberate. So I believe that the people of Vrogakal can appreciate when traditions themselves should be innovated upon. To hold back your people in such a way and rather not give them the time of day, let alone attempt to banish or even kill them, is cutting off your own limb.
To that, he silently continues to stare at you and nods very slowly at those mentions.
Will tippy tap her toes and like sort of move a bit forward, and I'm going to do a help action.
Oh yeah.
Support what Rel says, and she says with a very nervous yet very honest tone, I just don't see the point of punishing someone who genuinely just wants the best for his people.
I believe my argument isn't even that one of in favor of specifically Garrick. I have been in your town, in your kingdom, for a few hours, and I see the drive in the eyes of every single dwarven person here. That drive is at a standstill. It is caught in the chests of every single person that lives here because they are afraid to step out of line to try to make things better.
Slowly he nods to that. Our traditions and our laws, many would argue, is what's kept our kingdom as prosperous as it is for as long as it has been. The Dawi live for many years longer than most species. This offers us a different perspective, oftentimes, when it comes to the goings-on and traditions of our people. I agree that many of those in our kingdom would rather we do away with some of these traditions so that we may innovate more freely. But it is these traditions that have also protected us against a great deal of corruption, madness, and other intrigue over the years. Not all ideas that are had are safe for our people. Not all inventions or innovations are for the good of our society. And as the rest of the world looks to the Dawi kingdom for engineering and innovation, we must be careful that which we allow to develop, as it may create worse problems in the hands of shorter-lived peoples like the Ungi, or less careful individuals like the Witilgi.
Zax will step forward a little bit and rest his hands on his little rod that he's using as a walking stick. We've seen firsthand dwarven equipment and innovation used against us. We even have proof of that.
He sort of like narrows his brow down at you. Speak.
On our journey here from our own kingdom, we came up against thieves and raiders who, at first, they were using a weapon that I had seen previously before I even ventured out into the wider world. But we found that these halflings had a great many of these bagpipes that spit fire and could explode.
The Grumbulgi. He grits his teeth a little bit at the mention of them. Aye. It is known that some of our technology, which was developed and allowed to pursue, found its way into the hands of these halfling thieves. This guise that now lives in the woods.
I did not come here to compare the various cultures that live amongst each other or very specifically separate from each other. I came here to argue your culture. I came here to tell you and the people that are in charge that there should not be freedom in how people innovate. There should be rigorous testing, and there should be rigorous what's the word? Like restriction. But that does not mean that people shouldn't be able to try. To not take any other people's information and ideas into consideration is to stagnate your own progress. What if any of the dwarves here came to you with the next part of your evolution and you turn your nose up to it because it's not part of tradition? Unfortunately, I do come from a place of bias, as this comes... My people are fierce innovators in the face of safety. Though, I am the leader of these people, and I've seen time and time again people die, and it spread wildly when something goes wrong. But then we know.
I respect the way that you live in your kingdom, Envrail Olo. You grant us an honor by bringing yourself here. And your counsel is valuable to me.
In saying this, you see the large red gem that sits in the forefront of his dragon crown glint ever so slightly.
I would like to insight check him.
Go for it. Roll insight. Yeah, just roll insight.
Okay.
What are you looking for in specific? Is there anything in specific you're looking for? Or you're just trying to get a read on him?
I was trying to get a read on him and see if he was being honest about what he was saying. I mean, Vrail is kind of a bit prideful.
Yeah. With a 10 in insight, you're not detecting any sarcasm or anything of that nature. He appears to be on every level that you can see at this juncture telling you the truth.
But also, there was, I know it's a 10, and I don't want it to change anything, but she was also trying to see if he was being just trying to shut her up.
No.
Yeah, I got it. I understand respectfully, but no.
This is legitimately a conversation.
Okay.
And there's you with a 10 even you're getting the notion that with the way this society is structured, that the king is hearing you at all is still a big deal. That most people that come in that are we found this person you kicked out of your kingdom and we want to talk to you about him, he's going to be here's a better idea. How about I throw you all into a furnace and then call it a day?
Yeah.
Because we don't take back people who've betrayed our kingdom and violated our laws, and we don't take out in strangers either. But that you're all here is a big enough deal.
I'd like
and
to
he
point
is
out
legitimately listening.
that Vrail wouldn't find that much humility in that because of who she is.
Oh, exactly. Humility is not exactly a big
kind
thing
of expect
on
to
Vrail.
be able to. But
Also, with a 10 in
fair.
insight, you never gave him your full name.
Oh, I know. But Vrail would be of course he knows her.
Yeah, of course he knows who I am. Why would I think otherwise? But yeah.
It is the belief of many of our chiefs and people that our traditions keep us and the world safe. That many before have argued against our traditions so that we may develop things that could be dangerous, not just to us, but to others as well. I'm not entirely unconvinced that what we did was wrong. But to go back now upon Garrick would be difficult.
Keeper, you make a motion to step forward. The king, again, you see a small glint in that red gem. He turns to you, specifically Keeper, and nods to you, gesturing for you to step forward and speak.
Keeper will remove his cloak and mask if I didn't have them on already, and speak face to face to the king.
Okay, good.
Change my little icon.
Yeah, there it is. Nice.
My name is Keeper. I come from a long line of keepers. My people also value tradition and history above all else. We come from a mountain, a mountain monastery, deep within the stone caves, and I am told that my people come from the island to the northwest. I am venturing there to seek information about my ancestors that has been long lost to my people. There is value in tradition. There is safety in tradition. But we must always be innovating in order to keep those traditions. Without innovation, others will come and they will supplant you. Eventually, there may be no records of the once mighty kingdom.
Just gonna.
It has happened to my people in the past, and it would be a shame if it happened to this mighty, glorious empire.
Yeah, I'm good.
He nods to that, and he goes, "Your counsel is appreciated. Thank you. It is hard to tell when to draw the line between traditions that keep us safe and those which stagnate our people. Ours is a slow and steady and deliberate movement."
Wisdom save 22. Rail keeps cool about race countries. Yes. Does not get triggered. Solid.
She's a little triggered, but she keeps it in.
Yeah,
She keeps it in.
keeps that shit under the lid.
Bottle it down,
Bottle it-
ready to release it on some unwary paladins.
Squash it down.
It is only with the development of our martial techniques that we have been able to keep our countries, our people, and our culture safe from those who would do us harm. My people.
Roll. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Roll what?
When you're done, roll an insight.
Okay. My people do not seek conflict, but because of this, conflict is constantly brought to my people. Or so the records say. To this, we always constantly endeavor to improve so that the lives of ourselves, the lives of our descendants, can be peaceful and fruitful. Roll an insight check.
Yeah, roll me an insight. 22. You definitely get the notion that he is listening to you. And as he has his eyes fixed on you, like he's nodding slowly, and you see one of his hands kind of stroking his beard a little bit as he's doing that, and you definitely get that as like contemplative body language that dwarves use.
Wonderful.
You do get the notion as well that this is not largely, but there is a component in it. You're thinking about maybe like 30 to 40% of him considering what you're saying is because you are of a race that they considered allies that was thought to be lost.
Yeah. Exactly. And because it was
that's
lost.
why he's listening to you and considering what you have to say, because you appear to be a person that, they thought were extinct, and you're not, and that's really cool.
That's just neat.
And that's just, I think they're neat.
As the people were talking, Floop kind of lost focus, like someone who's zoning out, and she started staring at the book. And when the silence comes back, she shakes her head just like she had an illumination, and she makes a head motion towards the book. Is that the Book of Grief? The Book of Grudge?
Are you asking him this?
Yep.
To that, he sort of turns his attention down, and like, with one of his hands, like, pats the big book that he's got in front of him.
Aye, this is our great book of grudges. This is where we keep every wrong ever committed against the Dawi people, so that we may remember those who owe us a debt. And when that is cleared, we strike it from the book. every grudge within the Carignan is written in the blood of kings.
Most valued tradition.
Indeed.
And he sort of gives you like a nod.
Alright, then answer me this. You said that Garrick was condemned to go against the traditions and against the law for speaking against the Guild of Engineering, right? I don't see why he would do this out of disrespect, because I clearly remember Garrick doing the same, respecting. He has his notebook, his own tiny notebook of grudges, and would mark away what he had done to pretty much like you. So why would someone who respects the laws so much that he still uses them despite being exiled, why would he actually go against it if he still does it? If it's not just because he truly thinks it's gonna help.
That he keeps his own personal record of grudges is certainly good. All Dowies should keep an accurate record of wrongs committed. However, it does not absolve that he's gone against traditions that we hold.
I did not say he went against it. I said that he did not do it out of disrespect. He still values every tradition despite being exiled. And to me,
Intent is often seen as meaningless in the face of consequence. Though, I will accept your testimony. Thank you. What are you?
He kind of like leans forward a little bit, looking over the book.
I am a grung. Our people generally just dwell in marshes, and like we raise moss and mushrooms for a living. It is nothing compared to your kingdom. And I know for a fact that you live way longer than us. Yet we, the short-lived one, are the ones who still live in a tribal style.
I see. Thank you.
He
Vrail.
gives you kind of a sage nod. Does Vrail want to do something?
Yeah, Vrail looks around at the architecture of the area. Like it looks like this, right?
Yeah.
This picture, okay. And she sees the molten metal and rock and all that, and the edifices and busts. And she asks, "Why do your people live suspended over this magma?"
He kind of furrows his brow a little bit.
How do you mean?
I mean, the entire place is built over these rivers, or next to these rivers of molten material. Why?
We have chosen to live in such a way, as it is our tradition. It has also shown to be a powerful source of fuel, heat for our forges, and of course, materials for those that we craft.
How long have you been doing this?
Centuries now.
And what did you do before?
Our people found other ways of forging and fueling their things, though mindfully the Witelgi were not often proud or fond of the amount of wood we took from their forests, so we turned to other things.
Alright. So...
You wish to say that the progress we've made is reason that we should allow other progress as well.
Well, why not?
Not all progress is good progress. That which can save us, if used poorly, or used too quickly, or taken without proper consideration, may bring about the end of our kingdom.
And you
This
are concerned...
land, this continent is littered with fallen kingdoms and destroyed peoples who reached too far, too quickly. It is our doughy patience that allows us to survive and what's the word I'm looking for? Not sprout. Prosper, as long as we have.
Flourish,
I-
baby.
If I
Flourish is a
may.
good word. 14. Got it.
Right.
I'm gonna say
If-
at that though, Vrail, I want you to make me a persuasion check with advantage.
She's about to yell. Okay. Persuasion check with advantage? Okay.
That is correct.
For what she said before?
Yeah.
Okay. Persuasion. How do I roll this with advantage? Just
the
roll it
advantage
twice.
I mean, you're already rolling it with advantage. At least your saves.
Oh, yeah,
And then we
it's
just take
just-
the higher of the two numbers.
There you go.
Crit success. Oh my god. When he finishes speaking, you seem like stroking his beard a little bit, and then turns to Siaces. Says,
Does the ancestor have anything to say?
Diocese kind of sits in that for a moment and kind of you can see sort of the look on her face as if she's thinking of how to respond. And she finally speaks up and she says, if I may, my lord, there is something to be said for the progress in technology made in order to protect yourselves should something arise. There are all of the other kingdoms around are progressing ahead of you. And it gets worse and worse the more you decide to stay behind. And how do you protect yourselves from would-be attackers then?
The short-lived races are not going to wait for you. And then at some point, honestly, pretty soon, they are going to roll through here and take what you have. I'm sure not without a fight. I'm damn certain that it won't be without a fight. But they are not as careful. That does not mean that you should remain careful. I'm saying that you should maybe take a page out of their book and keep up.
Zach will take a step forward.
before you say anything,
Yep.
Vrail, roll me intimidation.
Yeah, Vrail is getting just like starting to get angry.
Yeah.
Like visibly.
April will reach out and place a hand on N's shoulder
Oh, come on.
to
Go
try and
ahead.
calm her, just to try and calm her down.
That's a
like,
2. I rolled a 2.
Yeah.
well,
That's
wait,
okay.
If I may, could that help? Could I be helping? Could that be a help action by just me reaching out and
And
touching
trying
her
to
By,
shoulder,
like,
calm,
calm
calm
her
Vrail
Fucking
down.
like putting a hand on her.
Just being like-
You know what? I'm gonna allow it. We'll take that 17.
Like, oh, we gotta hold her back. Alright,
yeah.
I figured it out. Okay.
To that again, you see the red gem on the crown like glint a little bit as he stares you down in that moment. To which he responds, "Oh wait, we got a plant there, and the system's reading it out. Hold on." Oh, thank you so much, Planthier, for the donation.
Oh, you
We're
got-
so close.
Text to speech.
Yay!
Wow!
Oh, heck yeah.
Woo!
Donation hype. Thank you so much. We are 150 from our goal. And
Nice.
yeah, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to showcase to you guys a whole bunch of shit that I've been working on at the end of the stream. It's going to be a huge amount of fun. because we hit that 800 mark. If we wrap this up, I'll show you guys some extra stuff that I've been doing as well. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Planthier. I really appreciate your support in our channel here. All right, so at your reserved but still sort of like heated outburst at the king, he almost like stands from where he is. Also, thank you for the follow. Poke your eyes out, game. He you know what, I'm gonna say he stands up like in his throne and says, "If others come to take our kingdom, our gold and our technology from us, then they'll have to get their way through doughy patience. Our traditions and our strength have held us through every storm so far. However, your counsel may not be without merit." Fuck! Let's bring it all the way! Thank you, Mr. Classic Magic!
Oh!
No! And also, thank you for the subscription, Mercenary Pen. My God. Oh, thank you, Kara, for giving that to Mercenary Pen. Thank you so much. But yeah, he's sort of like gripping the sides of the lectern where the Book of Grudges is sitting, and says that, you know, your counsel is not without merit.
Have you heard of my people? Have your people heard of my people? We are the Yuanti. My people are the Yuanti. We were the original inhabitants of the jungles of Oron.
Aye.
Then the humans and the elves came. And then the demons came.
Indeed.
This was long ago. They aren't strictly adhering to one way of doing things. People have never heard of my people because of how efficiently they got rid of us. They will do the same to anybody if they see fit, regardless of their level of creativity and their level of technology, because their level of innovation will get them through anything, and their level of stupidity will make them charge through it. I'm telling you to take one page out of their book. Temper your ways to their ways, even slightly. You're clearly patient, and you are clearly careful. But maybe ease up. Maybe use your care in developing new things. But develop new things. And don't kill people who want to!
Zax will
Use
kind of
yourself.
hesitantly step forward and set his rod back down again.
He raises a hand to you, Zax, for just a moment, just like hang on a sec.
Yep, he'll be patient.
Those who wore the crown before me told an accurate account, a record of the jungles of Oron. I had not known that yours was the people that held that kingdom.
And the
you're
humans
right.
and elves made sure of it.
The human corruption that brought about the death of that land and those demons that now wander those wastes. It cannot be ignored that it was them who thought to seek power too quickly without considering enough that brought them to where they were. That said, if we remain still as the stone, eventually the water will find its way into the cracks and split us in twain. Our steady traditions and laws have kept that manner of corruption from us. But as you say, I agree. It may also be our undoing if we remain too still, too steadfast.
I may.
At that, he then gestures to Zax and nods to you, Keeper, that you may go after him.
Keeper nods silently in response.
Zax will nod and will begin. I may be a unique personification of the aforementioned shorter-lived races in innovating. For when I spoke with Garrick and I learned of this place, and then arriving and seeing everything, it it is a little bit disheartening that both the engineering guild and the mages quarter pointedly do not work together. For even though I am only an apprentice in my craft, the devices and the things that I've made, which are a mesh of both technology and magic, already seem to be innovating from more from everything, taking in consideration from everywhere, and not restricting myself on the things that I might be able to learn and adapt. Not necessarily to the point of harm or even something that would be a weapon or anything like that, but still having the mindset of being open enough to see all of the possibilities and considering them, is so much of what my kind of things and that I can make and possibilities I might create. Though still there needs to be that check. I agree. There needs to be ways to make sure that it isn't going to backfire or harm something that you weren't intending. But even so, my race, as you know, definitely does not live as long as yours. But even though I am just an apprentice, I have already seen and considered things that are being made here that have already sparked innovation in my head of how I could make that better.
It is true that the Engineering Guild feels that all things should be done without the use of magic, that magic is too unpredictable. And the Arcanists Academy believes that instead, things should be done without the use of engineering, as engineering can be too complex at times. I see merit in both of their ways, and it is up to me, on occasion, to wield their wisdoms in tandem. I am glad to see that others such as yourself are making use of this wisdom as well in the wider world.
He then gestures to Keeper to speak.
Keeper nods and thanks before speaking.
Sax will step back.
You have mentioned many times of the value and strength in your Dawi patience. Patience does have its value. However, I might posit a counterpoint that your patience is not what makes you strong. It is your will. As long as your people keep your will and keep your discipline proper, innovation need not be held back by things such as tradition simply for the reason of patience. My people are famously short-lived, and yet we constantly need to innovate as well as maintain discipline. We are raised strictly from the time we are spawnlings to respect the traditions of our ancestors, but not to hold them above all else. We maintain. My people act as one mind, as one people. We are all keeper. The loss of one of us is a loss to all of us. Exiling Garrick only proves to potentially weaken the Dawi people as a whole. Why cut him off when you could embrace him and grow stronger as a whole. For you, like us, are not a people of individuals. You are a people of your people.
I take your counsel, Keeper. Thank you.
And he nods. Turns in then to Vrail.
Keeper will give a deep, respectful bow and step back.
Vrail still looks like she's got like a million things to say, but is keeping her mouth shut because it's just gonna be tinged with anger.
Yeah. He opens his mouth to speak, and to that, the gate behind you is shoved open, and an individual starts sort of like marching his way up the walkway to where you guys are. This is a dwarf that is very well dressed, sort of in like noble's clothing, has a short cropped beard and like coiffed hair. As he
dwarf.
sort of like pushes the door open and starts like waddling up towards you guys. And he goes, I object to this. At that, Thorgrim stands again in his throne, points his axe that he grabs, the big two-handed axe, he points it over at him, and bellows down the walkway at him.
You will wait your turn, Silver!
To which the small dwarf immediately turns and walks back out of the room, and the door closes.
Vrail also looks pointedly offended that she was interrupted.
Yeah.
By someone who wasn't here.
Yeah. He then
Sizes is
quietly-
visibly a little bit shaken.
Yeah. He
Like her
fucking-
like hand over her mouth, and she's like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah. When the king stands and points his axe and bellows, it's like you feel that oppressive, almost physically palpable hatred just radiate out from him, and then quickly retreat in as he calmly places his axe back down. Hey, 20 wisdom save.
Nice. Floop does not indeed shit herself.
Played.
Yes, I
She
object.
kept it in.
Denied. Yep. It's like turns around, walks out of the room. The door
Floop.
quickly shuts again.
Floop
He
does not inflate like a pixie frog.
yeah. He turns then to the rest of the group and says,
You have my sincerest apologies at the rudeness of our nobility. That said, you have my sympathies as well. Your kingdom was destroyed when others reached out too swiftly and to corruptive powers too dangerous for their own. Your home was reduced as a result of their ignorance.
Respectfully, I am not looking for pity. I am looking for change. I am looking for kingdoms and countries and peoples that take in others and understand the cultures of others and don't immediately say, oh, that's a place I could live, and then take it.
Very well.
I
It is not...
need to know that this place is not so full of itself that it can't accept its own change.
Indeed. And with respect, I appreciate that opinion. There's not words for pity or forgiveness in the Jawi tongue. We use Umgi language for that sort of thing. That said, I agree. As our hall now stands, once this was all uncut stone, the magic and the engineering that makes this kingdom possible were all developed at one point in time. The only argument that the Engineering Guild makes is which innovations to push forward. And perhaps you're right. Perhaps Garrick was seen too harshly upon. I would like to summon the other three lords to speak on this with you.
I would be very happy to speak with them about it. She doesn't look happy at all.
Yeah, he gets that. He picks up his axe once again, and using the pommel on the bottom of it, sort of taps it against the lectern to which the Book of Grudges sits. At that, once again, the door opens. Stepping into the room once again, you see two dwarven gentlemen comes walking in. There we go. There is a pause as the two of them walk in, and then they step to what is your left, his right, to stand next to the brazier off to that side.
As they're walking in, I like turn to see them, and I raise like another half a foot in height on my tail.
Yeah. If you
I'm
want,
gonna get
roll
bigger.
me an intimidation.
I could just use passive intimidation. Like,
Yeah.
If possible, I would like to use insight to see what their demeanors are. Like, I kind of know what the first one's demeanor is. Like, he is not happy about this situation. But
No.
I'd like to get a reading of the second gentleman.
Okay, with a 16, the second gentleman with the
No,
furs around
that's
his
intimidation.
shoulder.
Yeah.
No, I'm yeah.
he asked me to roll intimidation.
Yep.
Yeah, there's roll intimidation. You can roll an insight, and I'll give you kind of a read on these guys. Dope. That's an 8. With a 16 intimidation, you see the gentleman with the furs around his shoulder doesn't appear to be hugely phased, but he does like clock you in. Like, he does take a measure of you as he's walking along, as you like fan up and make yourself bigger in his presence. The other fellow, referred to as Silver, wilts a little bit at the sight of you as he sort of like scuttles off to one side. And to that, Thorgrim then gestures to them, to the taller of the two of them, the fellow with the furs around his shoulders.
This here is one of the two on the Council of the Engineering's Guild, Arluth Granitson. And of course, you have unfortunately already met Karthuk Silverbrow. The king turns a fucking glare down at the shorter of the two, and he sort of waddles a little bit in place, sort of like shifting his feet back and forth. Where's the representative from the Arcanists Guild? The Academy.
After a moment, you see quickly trotting into the room after them a shorter dwarf of sort of medium stocky build, slightly balding, wearing what appears to be normal chain and leathers, more commoners' clothes than nobles' clothes, with a pipe kind of stuck in his teeth as he's running into the room.
Ah, yes. This is our member, the representative from the Arcanists Academy, Darbin Steelcap.
Darbin gives a nod and goes, sorry I'm late.
Got a bit turned around, was given some inaccurate information as to when this meeting would be held.
And he kind of narrows a glare across the way at Silverbrow, to which Silverbrow kind of shrugs in an attempt to look innocent, but obviously being a little shit. With an 8 of insight, Zax, it's hard for you to get a read on Granitson, the taller of the two of them. It's kind of hard for you to get a read on him. He appears very stoic, very fair-looking kind of person. Doesn't appear kind of one way or the other. You don't know a lot of dwarves, so it's hard to get a read on him. Karthuk Silverbrow very obviously is a piece of shit. You absolutely clock in that this is a sniveling, money-grubbing shitheel that is sort of his own business. And Steelcap, as he comes running in, you get a feeling that he's a much more easygoing fellow. The pipe that's stuck in his teeth gives a waft of strange smelling herbs coming out of it, and occasionally you see sort of a pink and purple glitter coming out of the pipe as well. So as you guys are standing in the middle To your left is the two representatives from the Engineering Guild, and to your right, standing next to the brazier on that side, is the representative of the Arcanists Academy. Thorgrim then speaks up.
Right. So first we'll hear from the Arcanists, as they come first in our alphabet. What do you say to these matters?
Giving a little puff from his pipe, little sparkles and sparks coming out the end of it. He goes,
Well, I wouldn't say that these outsiders are necessarily wrong. I feel with the presence of royalty, of Bugman and ancestors in their group, certainly gives credence to that which they say. I'm not one for engineering and all that, but I know Garrick to be a fair person to follow our traditions for a long while now. I don't think it very fair to exile him, and really, if the worst should come, I think he should just be cast back out into the kingdom again. He can build boats, I'm sure, for other people.
to that, Steelbrow speaks up and says, if he is to build boats for others, then he can build those strange abominations, and they'll be upon our shores in no time. We cannot allow his madness to leave. To that, Steelcap goes, well, you let it leave once before. I can't see why a second time would be all that bad. He puffs a little bit more from his pipe. To that, then the king turns to the group, if they have any input on that.
Vrail turns to the one who called the boats abominations. Why do you consider these creations abominations?
To that,
Zex will take great interest in this.
to that, Silverbrow kind of waddles a little bit, kind of like back and forth, kind of like shifting his weight back and forth on his feet a little, sort of squirming in place before he goes, that's Dowie business. We don't need to share that with outsiders. To which then Granitson, the taller one next to him, like turns and frowns at him, and then turns back to the rest of the group and says, you'll have to forgive our friend here. He used to be a part of the Bankers Guild before he made his way into our order. Not everyone is happy that he's done so.
This is a trial? I believe everyone involved should have all of the information.
Zex will pipe up with this. And considering we're dealing with someone who is challenging their exile, this entire thing is Dowie business.
Indeed. And not to be shared with outsiders who may use our business against us.
Well,
Let's
we
say
are
are
currently
here to the great
insiders.
Let's
We are
entered
here.
into the great book of grudges, isn't that right, my king?
To which Thorgrim goes,
You'll keep a civil tongue. And not tell me who goes in the book.
to which he goes,
All right, Your Grace, I apologize. All right.
You will shut your fucking mouth.
yeah, you won't tell me how to do my fucking job. Like, how dare you? Granitson attempts to speak up again and says, the boat was seen as an abomination because if anyone were to take this upon the water, most means to fight these off is fire and cannon shot. The designs that he brought forth would be immune to both. It would be extremely forward for us to bring these devices upon the sea. If we bring them out, then the Umgi and the Watelgi might start using them as well. And then what? The water would be filled with steel ships, immune to all manner of our defenses here. And then we'd have to design and build more guns and other things to defend us against this, and it would create an arms race that we've no interest in trying to get in about.
Keeper raised his hand.
I think we've got ships that work just fine already on the sea. To which the king kind of like nods and gestures for him to like, okay, that's enough. Turns to Keeper.
Speak.
The act of warfare is an ever-changing field. Combat is always won by not by the strongest or the toughest or the biggest, but won by those who can adapt quickly. If the other races do design their own iron hull ships, then the very nature of naval warfare will have to change with it. You can beat them again by using your greatest gifts, your insight, your creativity, and your discipline. These are the traits that win fights. These are the traits that win wars. And I have seen all of these traits exemplified in your people.
And to that, Granite Sun kind of like nods and goes, "Well, I got to say, I do actually agree with the fellow here." To which Thorgrim goes,
He calls himself Keeper.
he goes, "Right, Keeper. I do agree that innovation is the forefront, the tip of the spear of any war. A technology will win more bouts than just about anything else. Stalwart though our people may be, we must be careful the technology that we put out into the world. We cannot allow other people, especially the fucking Umgi, to get their hands on metal boat designs. We'll have rickety bullshit rolling up on us in any day, and then we'll have to develop weapons to go up against those, which I agree with you, Keeper. I'm sure we could come up with weapons to do such, but we're creating a problem that we don't need to. We've got boats that work just fine out there."
They are already going to build them.
If I may,
To
the serpent.
to Rails thing, he does like clock that response. But then yes, Keeper, go ahead.
The serpent is correct. It would be foolish to imagine that your opponents are not already innovating in their own ways to try and beat you, to try and claim you. If conquering is in their nature, then they are going to conquer. Would you not rather your people be ahead of the curve, be the ones at the forefront, developing the technology? First, the technology to defend, and, if necessary, the technology to avenge. Would you rather not be leading and have them follow you, than be the ones who have followed? Then be shown different way by them. Plus, how would it look upon your people if the Ungi, as you call them, or the Watelgi, as you call them, how would it look of the dwarves if they developed this technology first? You would be seen as followers, as copycats, as simply people who do what they see, and not people who innovate, who create, who lead.
Aye, well, the Engineering Guild has been on the forefront of technology for thousands of years at this point. All the technology that the Ungi use out there are just crude approximations of things we've given to them. Black powder, irrigation. And he's just like just naming off like stone masonry techniques and like other things like that. At the end of the day, if we make use of these boats, we're just putting in their hands a bunch of stuff that we'll have to deal with down the road.
Only if they get them.
But your discipline can prevent them from falling into their hands until such time as you are able to innovate more. You can...
At that, the Steelcap, the representative from the Arcanist, the Arcanist Academy, takes a puff from his pipe and goes, "Oh, well, Granitson, sounds like you're being a bit lazy. Don't want to put in the work, eh?"
Braille just looks
Granitson
at the fucking
frowns at him in response.
Vrail looks at the Arcanist fellow and says, "As much as I appreciate that you are on our side about this, there is no room in this conversation for petty jabs."
You, without an insight, get the understand that like calling a dwarf lazy is probably the biggest insult that you can like lay on a table. Now, nothing comes back from their side of the room, but, the Steelcap looks kind of smug about what he said. To that, though, of course, Thorgrim speaks up and says,
We will keep our tongues civil in this room. I offer a compromise.
The three dwarves that are present gasp at the use of the word compromise.
Like he's just swore.
There is not a word in Dowie tongue for things like compromise. But the three gasp at that.
We will allow Garrick resources and an opportunity to build a ship that's made of metal upon the waters outside. It will be built using technology from the Engineering Guild,
To which the two of them nod and smile.
and it will be powered by magic from the Arcanists Academy.
To which then the two members of the Engineering Guild frown, and
Zach-
Steelcap grins.
Zach looks delighted.
Yeah. So you see just like this teetering sort of shifting of moods. And then he says,
Once it's completed, I will come down and look over this ship myself to ensure that not only is it fit to be upon our waters, but it is safe to be out into the world. I accept the counsel of these outsiders. We must be careful in what we place upon the world. We do not wish to reach too far or too quickly, lest we undo our kingdom and the kingdoms of those next to us. That said, the longer that we remain behind our stones and in our thrones, the longer others will continue to pervert their own technologies for their will. We must be ready for them. This is adjourned.
and he picks up his axe, and once again, just with a single bang of the hilt of it against the side of his throne, it echoes throughout the room, and you see the three dwarves that are there bow and exit the room.
Vrail looks to Garrick. Then to
Garrick's
the
not
party.
here.
Garrick's
Oh,
not
no.
present.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, well,
Uh,
Vrail looks to the party and turns and moves to leave.
Zax will give a deep bow and move to do the same.
Keeper stays put.
Keeper stays put. Okay.
Oh, then
Does
I
anybody
move-
else remain?
I move a few feet and then remain behind to look back at Keeper.
There's a silence that follows until the other three dwarves have exited the room. Once they have left and they're basically outside the room, the king nods, gestures to Keeper to speak.
Thor. I must commend you for your wise decision. I know the words of an outsider might not mean much, but I believe you have done you and your people and your descendants a great honor. Your children and the children of your kingdom shall look to you and with honor and praise. If I may, I did have one question before I go. Whom might I? Your people are long-lived and clearly have memory and stories of my people. All of that history, that valuable knowledge of our ancestors, has been lost to me and my people. Might you have any archives or knowledge, stories about my people? I would very, very much appreciate being able to copy some scripts for myself to take back to my homeland.
He thinks for a moment on that, and then says,
The attendant to our throne, Bardin, whom you should already know, will provide you with inks and papers or whatever it is you need to make your notes. And a historian will be brought to you to orate our histories and informations to you personally, as I don't think you can read Dowie tongue.
This will be most helpful. I thank you again, King Thorgrim, for your kindness.
Aye. For both our sakes, I hope you're right. Truth be told, I am curious to see how your people have fared across the water in all these years. I hope for both our sakes they're doing well.
If you desire the knowledge of my people's history from the living mountains to the west, I can bring that knowledge back to you as well, if you so choose.
Aye. If this boat is what they say it is, and it works the way they promise, then I will have at least one Dowie with you to the living mountains to take an accurate account and accord of what's going on there. The water might not be enough to separate us from a potential danger any longer.
Thank you very much. This is agreeable. We have an agreement.
Aye. And he gives you a nod.
I will not take any more of your time. And Keeper gives a deep bow.
Yeah, to that he gestures that you can leave. Sits back down into his throne. You see him sort of shift his weight a little bit onto one of his elbows on his throne, and he kind of returns to a deep, sort of contemplative stance.
And with that, Keeper turns and joins his party and leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is everybody heading out?
Vrail was staying behind for Keeper and leaves with him.
Zex would have also stopped with the rest of his party.
Yeah,
Alright.
Floop, she's like,
Yes, I see as well.
she's waddling a bit higher on
Good.
her feet because the frog is getting dry.
Do we not have the
Yeah.
bucket with us?
I think Floop might still have her collapsible bucket with her.
But it wasn't filled with water.
But it was not filled with water. To that, you guys are escorted back to the sort of accommodations that you guys have. And it only just occurred to me now that I hadn't thought to come up with that in between things, but here we are.
Yeah.
So, huzzah. And yeah, so you guys find your way back. You're escorted back to that room, and shortly after, Garrick is brought to the space where you guys are, and is more or less released into the room with you.
Vrail, before anything, sees Floop being uncomfortable in the hot stone and attempts to find her bucket and fill it with water and just put her in it.
Will
Put him
be
there.
extremely happy in her little puddle. If the giant iron tub is still there, she will fill it with water and just flop on her belly.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Blap. Yeah, no, you splash into the tub. The water there is cool, and very refreshing.
Happy frog.
Happy frog.
Vrail would put
Yay.
flower petals in that water.
Oh, they're becoming friends.
Vrail understands the importance of relaxation. Luxury.
Shortly afterwards, the sort of attendant to the throne, Barden, makes his way into the room. I'll just put him like so. And yeah, so he comes in, looking around at each of you, looks over to Garrick, and you can see that there's just a wild look of surprise on his face, as he sort of his eyes kind of travel from one person to the next. He goes, "Right, so that could have been worse. Certainly. Goodness."
What, you consider it negative?
I don't know. As he kind of looks about and goes, "Our traditions have obviously been a foundation upon which our society is built. To challenge those would be to challenge all of Dowie culture. And yet, there you are, making off with the king's heart, as it seems.
Were he not wearing the dragon's crown, we'd expect some kind of sorcery to be in play. Goodness.
I suppose change is uncomfortable for those that are not used to it.
That's just a slow thing, you know. Mountains aren't built in a day and whatnot.
No, but clearing out a room to make more houses in a mountain with surrounded by lava could absolutely make it explode from the poisonous gases that spew from the mountain in a day.
Well, of course. No, that's why it's a slow-going kind of thing. Got to make sure that everything we build is sturdy, that the lava's not going to undo our culture, and that, you know, the poisonous and indeed flammable gases aren't going to blow us all to smithereens and all that.
But the gases don't care about how slow you're going, and neither do the humans.
No, of course. That's why it's up to us to control that speed, right? But, as it is, the king has agreed to allow you to build a prototype. Blows my beard clean off, really.
I give Garrick a big slap on the back.
Traditions are important, but they must not hold one back from change.
Yeah, to that, you see Garrick is kind of like beaming a little bit. He's got his arms folded in front of himself, kind of giving a fucking "I told you so" grin to Barton. It doesn't say anything though.
Zach's seeing that Garrick is in high spirits. Will search out if there's like parchment and writing utensils in the little residence.
Yeah, as you're looking around, Barton goes, "Right, I'm told that some of you are looking to speak to a historian and looking to write some things down."
Yes, that would be me.
Perfect. You wouldn't happen to be able to read Dowie, would you?
I cannot.
Right, no, perfectly fine. We've got, I'm sure we've got paper somewhere. He's sort of like stroking his beard a little bit. You do notice that almost all the writing that's done in this kingdom, not all of it, but nearly all of it's done on stone. So he's kind of like wondering if there is any spare paper. He goes, "I'll find some. Bring a historian to you, quick pace. Is there anything else I might be able to get you to keep you stay comfortable here before we begin our crafting process and whatnot?"
Zach jumps up and waves his hand. I require parchment and for myself, not for the research, and some writing utensils.
I'll bring some extras.
There is one more thing I may desire.
Aye.
Some simple brewing materials. Some barley, hops, whatever your bases are. I wish to brew something special for the king.
He goes, "Simple brewing.
You see him like stroking his beard a little bit more, and
I'm sure I could suss something out."
if you want to do an insight on that, please feel free.
Take them at his word.
Yeah. You get the notion that simple brewing equipment isn't something that's also around here, so he's gonna have to maybe get his hands on some stuff.
I don't need equipment, I need ingredients. I have all the equipment I need with me. I am just missing a few key ingredients for fermentation.
I'll see what I can come up with.
And then kind of raises his eyebrows, looks at everybody else.
Anything else?
I would ask if there are any alchemists in this kingdom.
Alchemists how? Like potion makers?
Yes. Potion makers, herbalists, people who deal with, and she looks over the skin condition of the dwarves. Oil.
Oil.
I'm sure I could put you in touch with somebody. Is there anything specific you might be looking for?
Flammable, poison, and perfume.
Those are 3 words I never thought I'd heard in a sentence together, but alright, I'll make a note there.
And he sort of like
If
taps
you'd
his
like
head.
to make another note, my people tend to fill our living spaces with poisonous perfumed gas.
Please do not poison us.
Oh,
I was
no,
gonna be like,
no.
Do you need that to survive, or is that like a personal comfort thing?
It's a luxury. It's a personal comfort thing.
I can make some oil with the alchemy jug.
Yeah, but is it nice? Or is it constant? Is it easily replicable?
I'll put you in touch with an alchemist and see if they can't suss something out for you.
I appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
Does Loop still have access to her Dawi dictionary?
The book that yes, you do actually.
Okay, she will go back and start learning Dawi again.
Yeah, they brought that to you while you guys were here. Yeah, you still have that book on you that's got a bunch of words written in common, and then next to them, it's sort of like the phonetical pronunciation of the word in the Dwarven, and then you see it written in the runes underneath, and then beneath that you'll see like a small section that talks about like where that word comes from, and not just like the direct translation, but also like the history of it and its meaning.
Keep on learning Dawi.
Yeah.
I noticed that Floop's doing that, and I kind of sidle on up and start like looking over the book with her.
With that, Barden makes his way out of the room, and a short while later, the door opens, and entering in from the outside, you see a dwarven woman come in, and she has on like a reasonably nice tunic. You see that she's wearing like good stuff. She's got a circlet on, her hair braided into these great big braids, one of them on her front and one of them on her back. As she comes in, there's also like a small cart is brought in that's got a number of papers, inks, and quills, and some charcoal also on it. Right, so one of you is looking to learn about our history.
Keeper walks over.
Ah, a boogman. Interesting. She waddles over to one of the stone seats and plops down in it, and then gestures for you to do the same in a seat just across from her.
Keeper bows respectfully and follows and takes the seat.
Do you have any like? I'm assuming you have like, including on the cart. There's like a few sort of like stone planks that you can like put the paper on to write on while you're sitting in the chair. If you want to make use of it.
Yes, he will.
Yeah.
Keeper will grab one of the a piece of charcoal, a piece of paper, kind of lay it out.
To that, she smiles and folds her hands in front of her, and she goes, "Right, so, orating some of our history to a boogman is more than a little honor to us, but for obvious reasons of the security of our kingdom, I cannot tell you everything, but I will tell you everything I can."
I speak to know about the interactions between your people and mine.
Ah, indeed. So, some generations ago, centuries, a little over 1,000 years at this point, there was a gentleman, Joseph, who crossed the sea and made his way over to the Living Mountains to the west. A big volcano on there, not considered to be safe grounds for the Dawi. So, we're not an area that we considered smart to be putting together a kingdom. With that, though, when he returned with these wild brewing practices that he managed to get past the engineering guild, gods know how, and put into practice in how we make our ale today. Joseph Bogdan was the name that he took.
Keeper's furiously like scribbling this down in his fast-paced.
Now,
like,
sometime after that, some Ungi explorers came in purchasing ships from us to head west to make themselves land upon the Living Mountains. Numbering among them was a royal arcanist, a few of the Witelgi, and a couple of other members of craftsfolk and whatnot.
Watelgi are elves, correct? Yes.
Ah, that's right. Sorry.
Apologies.
No.
I'm trying to inscribe them in a manner in which my people will understand.
No, of course, I apologize for using the native tongue when speaking to you. I feel like that's a little out of sorts for outsiders, and I apologize about that.
You are
Boogie.
free to use your native tongue. I just will require clarification every now and then for words
Fluke
that
will
I do
puff
not
up
know.
her chest proudly because she recognized the word, and keep on studying like a happy child.
Yeah, as you've been reading through the book, like she'll use a word every now and then that you'll recognize, and you're just like, oh yeah, oh. And you'll see on occasion she'll use like a dwarven word for something, and then follow it up with the common word for it, as sort of like a back and forth.
Perfect. But yeah, Keeper again furiously just scribbles this all down and just listens.
She goes on to explain that the humans and the elves that purchased the ships I just like basically paid to have them made, and they were sent over, and that was it. Like they got on their ships and they grabbed their tools, and of course they were shameful human tools. And and it was a lot of she explains like craftsman's tools, like things for cutting stone and making things from like wood and rock and whatnot, like building structures. But obviously no materials because they'd have to use the materials for wherever it is that they're going. They paid for the ships to be made, and a royal arcanist joined the group that was heading out, and they basically crossed the water, and we didn't hear anything from them since.
Wonderful. Is that the entirety of the records you have on my people that you are allowed to transcribe?
Indeed, not a lot
Alright.
of information was brought back. As it was, you know, the only accounts that we really had about the folks across the water was things brought back by Joseph. None of your people returned with him, happy to live in the mountains, he said. Very, very stoic people, very patient for a short-lived race, he said.
We pride ourselves on our patience, but we also understand when to be quick.
Indeed, it's very interesting people. It's certainly sort of a learning opportunity for us here to speak to you as well. If there's anything that you might be able to, any light you might be able to shed on from the things that happened in the mountains.
As of this moment, I have no more knowledge of what went on in the past in the Living Mountains than you do. However, I have agreed with your king that I will share any knowledge I find with your people as well.
Ah, it's very kind of you. Thank you very much. So you're not from the mountains directly?
I am not. Not for many, many, many generations.
I suppose it'd have to be a great many generations. I don't know. So your people are living somewhere else?
Yes, we have found a home somewhere else that we have made our own.
Do you know
It
what
is-
happened to your first home?
That is why I venture to the Living Mountains now, to figure
Ah.
out what happened.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, then. All right. She sort of like nods and thinking, you see she kind of like plays with the end of her braid a little bit. Is there any other questions you might have for us here? Is this what I'm looking for? Yeah, this will work.
I believe this will do for now. I appreciate you taking the time to dictate to me.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you as well for speaking with us like this. It's truly an honor. Thanks again.
The honor is all mine.
And
And
Keeper
that-
gives a deep bow.
Oh yeah, she stands and gives like a very sort of like a stocky bow, like hands at her hips, and sort of like bends at the waist and stands back up again, smiles, and then turns to leave. As she's leaving, you see entering into the room is another attendant pushing a cart that has a collection of ingredients on it, like hops and other brewing things like sugars and whatnot, and a small sort of collection of what appears to be some old brewing equipment for the dwarves. It appears to be recently unmoored from the walls from somewhere. But there is like a small collection of dust on it that gives you the opportunity, or at least the knowledge that whatever this is, it hasn't been used in some time.
Keeper, like his intended twitch, happily.
Wonderful.
And yeah,
I
the
will
little
get
cart
to-
gets pushed in, and the dwarf leaves.
All right. Keeper will wheel the cart over to a small section of the room, produce his own brewer's kit that I have.
Yeah.
And he will walk over to Floop and
Floop, may I trouble you for some of your slime?
Head.
Giggity.
Did Rail just say giggity?
No, I said giggity.
Okay.
Fucking Braille would say. Jesus.
I wish to brew something special using our techniques.
You want to brew some screech?
Indeed. I endeavor to produce though I possess not all of the ingredients from home, I believe some of them can be replicated or substituted using these dwarven ingredients. I aim to produce a sort of hybrid between my screech and their dwarven ale.
Oh, I want a taste of that.
You can be privy to the second taste, only after I do, to make sure that it is not poisonous.
And she just lets him scrape the goop off her back.
Okay, so yeah, Keeper will gently and very delicately, for somebody with clawed hands, scrape off a usable amount of grung goop to use in his brewing.
Or
Yeah.
group.
And I have
if you will.
to say, most of the screech is made with green goop, and this is red goop, so it's gonna have a totally different effect.
Yeah, the different grung have like different varying kinds of goop on them. While this is still like excreted grung poison, it may possess mildly different like flavors and notes and qualities than the standard stuff. The stuff that they sell to you guys is usually goop from the green grung, lower class members of their society.
But I would have, if red or other colors of goop grung other colors of screech have been made, I should have some sort of knowledge about that, right? Like,
You know what I'm gonna say? Roll me history check with advantage.
12.
Yeah, you've seen it. You've never made any yourself, but you've definitely heard of, like, in a rare occasion when the Thrycreen of your monastery have traded with the grung druids and like the people from the swamp. In some rare cases, they do offer slime from like their higher class members, of which like the greens are sort of in like the lower areas, and then there's like sort of a purple upwards to red, and then the orange/gold colored grung are like their highest sort of ruling class. You've never seen anything from them, but you have on one occasion seen screech that's made with red grung goop. That said, you've never made anything with it yourself, but you do know it to be very flavorful and potent.
Okay, but I do know. But I know that it has been done. So it's like I
been
kind
done,
of crack my
absolutely.
knuckles and be like, all right, time to try my hand at this.
Gonna figure this shit out. Hell yeah,
Right.
dude.
And then Keeper will, I'll kind of section off a corner of the room and sort of away from the humidity, the heat, and start
Yeah.
working.
All right, awesome. I'm gonna get you to do me some checks for that as we go along. What check on your sheet are you using typically when making booze?
I imagine it would be
check.
the brewer's kit, tool proficiency.
Yeah, and yeah, so because you have proficiency with that, you get to add your proficiency to what it is that you do when you roll for it.
I think it says on the brewer's kit.
I don't.
Yeah.
It just. Let me take a look. 5 years, because I just says brewer's kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's okay.
read it.
I'm gonna look it up while you're waiting.
Yeah. We'll figure that out. Yeah, because the brewer's kit just means you get to add your proficiency to making brew whenever you attempt to make alcohol, because you have proficiency in it and you have the kit, so you can do it with proficiency, which is dope.
Oh, proficiency with brewer's kit also gives additional insight on intelligence history checks concerning events that involve alcohol as a significant element.
Whoa.
There you go.
That's huge. That's basically every celebration.
It also
Yeah.
it also gives me additional insight when I treat anyone suffering from alcohol poisoning or when I use alcohol when I can use alcohol to dull pain.
You know what? I'm gonna say, what is your proficiency that you get typically when using when using that, like your brewer's kit?
Yeah, I'm looking that up.
What do you mean, the attribute or the proficiency number?
The proficiency number, like what are you adding to
7.
it when you use your brewer kit? 7?
7.
Okay, so let's add 7 to the 12 that you got there.
Nice.
Because that was definitely a booze related question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've
it's int,
seen
apparently.
people make this booze, you've never made it yourself. And you've also not tasted it. But the people that do taste it, like the leaders of the monastery and or the people that they've then traded it to, being like, in some cases vampire nobles, have said that it is truly exquisite and also betrayingly strange. That it is both wonderful and also kind of bizarre when they drink that stuff.
All right.
Delightful.
So,
Yeah.
a drink more fit for a dwarven king then.
It's definitely like a noble's drink, as far as you've seen.
Alright.
And you're gonna get to that. And what is Zach's getting up to in this moment?
So Zax would have asked for parchment and and writing utensils. He like after securing in the knowledge that his dwarf friend is not going to get the ugly axe. He is going to start writing down everything that is like mind is just taking him off on a tangent after having seen the disassembled pistol that Garrick's daughter was making. Because one of the things that artificers get is an optional rule where if they are exposed to black powder weaponry, they are proficient with it. So I am suddenly very proficient with it, and my Zex's mind will have been racing with ideas of possible improvements to the flintlock design. The things not like enormous things like, oh, let's put a clip in it or something like that, but
But just the notion of using the black powder as an accelerant for a projectile,
as
like
well as
the way that she was working on this stuff. I'm gonna say, give me an investigation. Roll me an investigation check, because it's intelligence, and you should be intelligence based.
No, it's no, investigation. Yeah, investigation is intelligence.
Yeah.
All right, at normal.
I'm also gonna get another beverage. During this in maybe bio. Got it. Vrail. 11. Okay, so like you know that if somebody handed you one of these weapons, you could definitely suss out how to use it. And one of the other things is like, you're like, okay, yeah, no, like using black powder as an accelerant to like for these projectiles in the tube, and like this is how I saw the trigger working, and like, okay, and like you're putting it together, and you're like, and Zach's like scribbling these down, sort of like ideas pouring out onto the paper, but like through all of that, you have no idea how she smit those parts. That by themselves, as you're like writing it down and sort of sussing it out, there's no way the metal should be able to survive that explosion. That like if somebody put the charge inside a gun that size and pulled the trigger, it should blow your hand to pieces. The fact that it doesn't is astonishing, and like it's gonna take you a little bit of extra time to suss out how to like figure that system. Because even Garrick's weapon uses steam, as opposed to gunpowder.
Zax would like kind of think of that, but he would also think of ways he might improve on the design. Like the ammunition that she was using was still just ball bearings, correct?
You saw that the actually, because you just saw her assemble the gun, or was working on assembling the gun, which turned from what was a table of like unknown parts that she started putting it together, made what you were able to suss out in the moment as a handheld cannon. You did not see the ammunition that she was using.
Okay.
Like, she didn't load and fire it while you were there, but she was just, like, assembling a design.
It's
sort of a proof of concept. But, like, in your head, you're like, there's no way if they put gunpowder in that, and then the wad, and then, like, a shot, and then hit the trigger on the back of it, that it would survive that. Like,
the weapon itself wouldn't survive that kind of thing.
Yeah, like, it should just explode. Like, there's no way that it should function, but, like, you're kind of going like, okay, but what if I used these metals instead? Or, like, what if I designed the payload in this way? Or maybe if I did it like this, like, it would work better. Or maybe if I used magic to substitute for these things, or, like, used enchantments to reinforce the barrel, like, things like that.
So Zax is, like, halfway there.
Yeah, like, Zax is like, you're definitely getting a feel for what's going on. Though, like, straight up, you don't know how she made those parts, because they were, like, fucking
it's Dwarven made.
Crafted.
Yeah,
like, the craftsmanship is just beyond anything you've ever seen, even in Par's shop. And then on top of that, you're like, that shouldn't work. Like, the way you're building it shouldn't function. But that's okay. While this is going on, I'm going to turn to Cassie. What is Saisis doing in these moments?
Saisis?
Hang on. Wait, am I muted? Am
Nope,
I not
you're good,
muted?
you're good.
Okay,
Not
I'm
muted
back.
now.
You're good.
Okay, great. All right. Saisis is kind of like that whole exchange that we had with the king was a little bit of a lot. Like, she's almost a little bit shaken. It's almost as if she feels she can't quite figure out why, but that feeling of, like, being in the court and having that kind of audience is somehow familiar to her, and she is not sure why. And that, on top of how it all kind of went down, and how it all, like, you know, things could have gone terribly, and thankfully they didn't. She's a little bit shaken. She's just kind of like, she's been quiet. She's kind of trying her best. She's just taking it in a little bit.
Taking a minute.
Yeah.
Roll me a history check
Yeah.
with advantage.
I can do that. That's a thing I can do. Boop, boop, boop. Weep. Oh no.
Oh no.
An 8 or a 6. So with an 8, like, you definitely got that feeling while you were standing in that room that, goddamn, there is something so strangely familiar about being in court. Like, not on trial, but, like, being in a courtroom and discussing things with nobles felt so distantly familiar, so nostalgic almost.
Dicey's just kind of like, she's just, you know, sort of focusing on her breathing a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say, roll me an insight check as well.
Insight. I can do that. Weep.
But 13.
That's a little better.
That is a little bit better. With 13, you definitely get the sense that, like, from where you were standing and from that familiarity that you get in court, the anger that the king was showing in that moment wasn't what it appeared to be on its face level. That as a leader, that character, Thorgrim, carries a lot of responsibility. And you get the feeling that it's like not just the responsibility of this kingdom, but the responsibility of all kingdoms on this continent to an extent. And that anger isn't one of sort of petulance. It's not, you know, how dare you speak out. it's this constant, I need to keep everyone safe.
It's like
that-
an exhaustion.
Yeah,
And-
that exhausted
Yeah.
fury of like, I have to protect everybody, that he carries in his chest at all times.
Yeah.
And God, you could taste that when it came out. But like, you almost recognize it to a degree. That distantly it feels familiar to you.
Yeah. Society's kind of just thinks on that and tucks it away for later.
Yeah, that like this is what the strength of keeping all these people safe can look like to some people. That it can manifest in patience fueled by anger.
Yeah.
But it's like you're like, okay, yeah, no, that I recognize that. That is the steady anger of a leader, and being in court, that's familiar. That
Yeah.
this was not the way you did things, but All right. And last but certainly not least, how's Floop doing?
Just learning everything she can in her tiny dictionary and relaxing in her
Yeah.
bed. And she's just super happy.
I'm gonna say roll me. As you're reading, Garrick actually sort of like trudges over to where you are and like plops himself down on the stone next to you, and asks if you would like assistance.
Yeah, Vrail's there too. Vrail's
Yeah.
hooked on phonics
And-
with Floop.
Yeah, Vrail is in it. Sweet. Yeah, no, he asks if you guys want help.
Super happy and
Of course.
says, yeah.
I can
He goes-
hear Warden cackling from the other room.
And he
Hooked
just
on
goes like,
phonics with Floop.
hooked on phonics, man. Yeah, no. He beams very happily. Any reason to talk about his culture, as most dwarves are, but he apologizes before he begins, stating that he's obviously not a teacher, but he'll do his best to help out where he's able.
He's super happy.
Yeah, he just goes like, right, so over here we've got this, and he, kind of gets into it. I'm going to say the both of you, if you're looking to learn, whoever
Yes.
of the two of you is looking to learn,
I am.
I'm going to say roll me an intelligence check.
Intelligence check.
Straight up intelligence.
Learning is above me.
Oh! Floop is catching on to this so fast. Like that you're just like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, history, let's do this. Like, especially with a druidic upbringing, like the history of not just your people but of other peoples, of all peoples, is something that's sort of discussed as being important because nature being the great unifier of all histories together sort of gives you the notion that this is like so valuable. And like, your closeness with Garrick has also offered you like all the sort of things he's been discussing with you as you guys have been traveling, mirrors very well from the book, and it becomes easy to pick up on. Vrail is just like,
Vrail points to the book at a word. What's that one?
what's this mean?
What's that mean?
To which she says, that's the word of Grungron. It's our word for forges.
Okay, but why is it that shape? I don't... How does that shape tell you that?
This does not make sense. Yeah, and he goes, well, and he launches into like a short history lesson of like, how forges were a thing that was believed by the Dowie to have been a part of their culture since before their culture even got onto its feet. That it was something that the gods gave to them. Since like ages past, and that it was their ability to forge and smith metals that brought them about, and that Grungon is actually the name of the ancestor god of forging that brought that knowledge about to their people thousands of years ago.
But how does that symbol mean that word?
And eyes have glazed over and
Like,
process.
Vrail's like, what?
It was said that Grungron, who had, a great steel brow upon his head, like so, and such, and he kind of like gestures the word. You see how the symbols and whatnot look a bit like a frowning brow.
Okay, so multiple symbols mean the word. I thought it was one symbol per word.
No. But in the way that they're oriented has different meaning. So, like, say, look here, and he
So it's more
kind of
like
like
common
shows the
than-
runes,
okay.
and he says, so these runes here will mean this word, but if we move these runes into this position,
Oh my god.
then they mean this.
Okay.
That each of the runes themselves have an intent. They don't necessarily represent phonetical sounds so much as they represent intention or feeling.
Wow. All right.
All I'm seeing is the meme. Why do they change math? Math is math.
Math is math. Well, like Vrail's languages, like Yuan-Ti are raised with Draconic and Abyssal, and those are all based on like emotional sentiment, and are very phonetic. But also, it's a combination of, like. The words are like half as long written as they are spoken. It's kind of like a cross between Japanese and English. So like she's trying to learn Greek, and it's like, what?
What even is this?
What is happening?
And it's such like deeply fed into tradition, which normally wouldn't be bad, in that it is a tradition that you truly don't understand.
Like whole
or
words
the-
are entire stories based, like, why?
Yeah, but
No.
that like these symbols arranged this way conveys not just like a word, but also conveys like a history and a feeling and a meaning behind it. That like arranged in a slightly different way still means forges, but also in like a less kind way. That like their word for humans, umgi, actually doesn't mean human; it means man-made, which is like shoddy or poor craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a sort of short form for their word of shoddy craftsmanship, which is umgak. So they're like, yeah, this is how this comes, and this is how you write it, and these are the feelings that we get. Yeah, that's right, Esteban. Our language is fun.
I actually, like, I'm in real life, I fucking love languages and etymology and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So like when I roll a 3, I know how to fuck up learning a
Yeah.
language.
Learning a language. Yeah, but then it's like you have this word which is derived from this word, like umgak meaning shoddy, umgi meaning human, but then on the other hand you have azul, which is a
No.
word that means metal, but it also means dependable, and it also means like a sturdy dwarf.
So Vrail's over here like that old lady meme, like putting her glasses on, like, what? Like
Yeah,
looking real close.
Or like the math moving around the screen, something like that lady just like standing there.
Suspicious. I'm suspicious of these runes.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, no. So it's having a bit of trouble, but he does manage to sort of power through a lot of the lesson here.
Vrail's not getting it. If Vrail wants to learn Dwarven, she's gonna have to take a lot longer.
You're gonna have to sign up for Duolingo.
No! I don't want to get shot in the face for not, like, ordering my like, Grubhub in Spanish.
That owl's gonna get you.
That owl's
That
gonna
owl's
get
gonna-
me!
That owl's gonna fuck you up. Duolingo is not playing around anymore. You will learn Spanish, or they will hurt you.
Okay, so Vrail's getting hooked on phonics with Floop, and failing. Keeper is brewing something special. Zax is attempting to wrap his mind around black powder. Siaces is
Yeah.
having an existential crisis.
Science is having a little quiet time.
As you do.
I found
like you do.
I found a little walkthrough on how to use the brewer supplies a little bit.
Oh, good. And you rolled a 9 on that brewer's kit, yeah?
That was an accident. But
that was the second. That was the second one. That was.
yeah, I was trying to click it to try and see if I could find like
more
'cause the-
information,
the
like a
mechanics?
write-up.
yeah, the rules are in the player's handbook, like it's part of the SRD. So I was trying to figure out if I had that like in the little brewer's kit description, and like you know how in the little compendium for the side, like
Yeah.
that we have built in. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, basically I gotta grind some grains with some hot water, and then boil it and then add my spices and flavor things, and then filter it, and then it's just gotta ferment.
Yeah,
Actually-
you're just sort of like working your way through the stages and figuring out. Did you wanna roll for how that's going, or did you wanna like take a bit longer with it?
Take a bit longer with it since we're not in any rush right now. We're waiting. Everybody's learning.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
like Vrail, like leans back, contemplating the words that she's reading and trying to read and trying to not have her own existential crisis about languages. And she watches Keeper for a minute, and then is completely distracted by Keeper, and then goes up to him, and says, "Do you use other kinds of poison in your brewing? Or do your people?"
That depends on the exact brew. I do not believe it is tradition, but my people innovate. We are always interested in the newest, tastiest beverage.
And Vrail like looks around and finds a flask or a cup of some sort, and like puts it up to her mouth and bites down on the side of it, and the cup or whatever gets like a third full, and she sets it down on the table. And it might be smoking or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of like a waft coming off there, some kind of like mist.
I don't know if
Keepers-
it's valuable to your innovation, but I also produce poison.
Keeper's eyes kind of widen and his antenna twitch because this is probably something that hasn't been done before. Can I make it another one of those history checks to see if this has ever happened before?
Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna say make a history check, and so that's 10, and then we'll add the 7 from your brewing stuff, because you want to know if anybody's used yuan poison in brewing, right?
Venom.
Yeah. Venom.
Yeah, the yuan venom.
Yeah. Floops is
Um,
poison. Mine's,
so-
mine's venom.
17 altogether. Yeah. Some attempts have been made, but it always came across, instead of being like flavorful and increasing in the potency, as like, you know, the thrycreen poisons have been found to work, as well as the grung poisons. The yuan venom is so lethally potent, like just by itself,
Too painful.
very
Just
dangerous to
painful.
consume. That like there have been multiple attempts to try to find a way to make this into a drink that is like enjoyable and palatable, and not just like immediately lethal. So like there has yet to be at this point any success in that field.
Any sort of palatable, non-lethal success. Gotcha.
Yeah, that it's like some people tried, and then they just decided that like, no, this stuff is just, it's too poisonous, we can't use it. But people were like, no, but like, we use poison that's lethal if it's consumed incorrectly, and so do the grung. Like it's no different from us, I'm sure. And then they
I'm
try it, and they're
sure.
like, this shit is real.
Oof.
Yeah. So like, maybe.
Attempts have been made in the past to utilize yuan venom in our process. However, it has not been traditionally good. However, I will keep this and use it in future attempts, because there's always going to be a first.
Well, I mean, you don't have to. It's fine. I can just... And she goes to reach for it.
No, I will attempt it. Just because it hasn't been done before does not mean it can't be done.
All right. And she turns and she goes back over.
It's not as though I like you, senpai.
You can attempt it, but don't use this as an attempt for a brew for the king, because if it doesn't go well, we're in deep shit.
Oh, of course not. I would not dream of using this in the royal brew I am concocting now. This is supposed to be a tasty treat for a royalty, not
Definitely relish the
not an
challenge.
assassination attempt.
Just
Yes,
relishing
yeah.
the challenge, though, of potentially using that in the future.
Yes, the keeper just pockets the vial of venom and continues working on mashing and boiling his ingredients.
I mean, I'd suggest putting Yuanti venom in your pocket, like in your inventory, and I'll remember that I have like one use of poison spray not on like used for the day.
All right, done. Added to the add to my file. All right. And then keeper just returns to boiling his ingredients.
All right, excellent. Okay, so from that, you guys sort of like continue on as the days go. Eventually, with the dawn of the next day, a individual is sort of brought to where you guys are, and instructs that you guys will be either remaining here within these quarters. If you want to move around the town, you can, but you will obviously be escorted by an attendant, and that Garrick is to return to the engineering guild with supervision to begin construction on the ship that you guys are going to be taking out into the water.
I would
Yeah,
like
okay.
to also escort Garrick. I'd like to oversee what's happening with the process of building that ship. Basically, I know that there's people that aren't gonna play well with each other, that are being forced to play well with each other, and Vrail wants to make sure that they play well with each other.
Gotta make you want to be there in like an oversight capacity to make sure that everybody's playing nice.
Vrail wants to be there in a quartermaster capacity.
That's fair. That does make complete and perfect sense. Yeah.
Zax-
So
Zex will ask. He will talk to the attendant, and say that we've got a we've got a dwarven made weapon with unstable chemicals, which has the potential of exploding if it gets ignited. Where should I bring it?
like see Barton's sort of like eyebrows go up. What you mean like with you?
Yeah. It's stored in my mount's trunk.
Ah, right, the Grumbolgi thing that Pyrenees of Dwarven make. Let's have a look.
Yes, the musical instrument.
And he sort of like waddles over and like knocks bonk bonk on the back of the mechanical spider.
Zax will go over there as well and ask Azzy to open the trunk and then take it out for him.
As you walk over and you ask politely, and it beeps and chirps, and the back trunk pops open. Do you just hand him the pipes?
Well, I bring it out to show him because Zax seems like he would like to be in the part of the process of bringing this to where it needs to go.
You like hold it up, and the second you start like bringing it out, you see Barton like takes like a big step back as you're doing that, and goes, "Okay, right, let's have a look," and then like sort of turns to Garrick. Garrick is just staring back at him like, "I'm not helping you. You got to deal with this now." Like, y'all kicked me out. You can deal with the weird flaming bagpipes. To which he kind of goes,
Ooh, looks like engineering guild business would hate to step on their toes, tell them how to do their jobs and all that. I'll let you take that down to them and they can have a look at it. And he's sort of like, "Ooh," and to that, Garrick kind of like nods and goes, "That's a good idea, I imagine."
Zax nods and like sets it back in the trunk and closes it, and then climbs up on the spider mount. It's like, okay, do I need an escort or something?
Well, I'll bring you down there, and we've got other attendants. I'll be able to keep watch, make sure you're all safe and everything while we're all about. And with that, you guys start to walk down to the engineering guild.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't want to walk around here with her while there's fire everywhere.
That's why it's specifically in the trunk.
Vrail's kind of pissed about all this.
You guys make your way down to the engineering guild. Once again, this massive structure of like cogs and machinery, of molten steel and magma being poured and moved around to power and forge different things, is just this strange sight far to the deepest parts of the Dwarven kingdom this place is held. You guys make your way to the front of there. There is like a number of soldiers standing about wearing like, heavy plate mail, some of them carrying either like a two-handed mace or others carrying like a hammer and a shield. Then they smile and wave to you guys as you guys approach. And whenever you guys are sort of like around in this area, whenever you guys are sort of moving around within this sector of the kingdom, there's always like an attendant or guard or soldier that follows around with you. They keep a respectful distance at all times, but they are obviously there making sure that you're okay and that nothing, bad is happening.
We're not starting shit.
Floop will take this as an opportunity to just wander around and like look at signposts and anything that is written, and she will try to like learn or try to know what it's saying with her tiny book.
Yeah, you know what? Let's have a look here. Okay. So
Wow.
you're kind of like walking around looking at the different signage and the different writings and things and like looking over your book and trying to decipher. You do get like a pretty good idea of some of the signs that are dictating either certain types of equipment that you're not familiar with or resources and materials. The one soldier that's following along with you as you're sort of walking around and looking at a few things, sort of like if you break off from the group to like an appreciable distance, not out of eyesight, mind you, but like, kind of out of earshot, he sort of like saddles up next to you and goes,
Sheriff Rog, huh? That's pretty cool.
just
She just
We're all
smiles
together, right?
and says, "Thank you. You
not
you
in that
did
moment. It's
Okay.
they're a little out of earshot when he does this.
I swear. Whew.
Yeah.
Vrail would have been like, yeah, and I'm a snake.
Cool.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, Floop will just smile very happily and say, "Oh, thank you. You dwarves are very cool too. I like your beard." And she's gonna keep on studying.
As you say that you like his beard, you see him like smile and look a little bashful, and he goes, "Oh, thanks. That's you have." And he kind of like looks over. Nice flower.
And she looks at him super happy. That is so kind.
Yeah, and he just kind of like nods and goes, "Yep," and then like takes 5 steps away from you and goes back to like just trying to be a guard, having embarrassed himself a little bit. That's right, Mr. Classic Magic. Complimented Dwarf's beard. You've made a friend for life.
Yeah,
The
and
dwarves will
her-
remember
in her
that.
head, she just made a new.
Dwarves will
In
remember.
her head, she made a new friend, and she keeps on
Yeah.
her tiny things, and she's like, "Oh, this means this. Yay! I remembered it." And she goes away and tries
Yeah,
to,
just-
yeah.
Goes back to that business. Yeah. you guys are just kind of hanging out now in the forge area. Garrick kind of like as you guys step in, you find yourselves into the main engineering guild area. You are met as you guys enter by, of course, Garrick's daughter,
What's
the
her name?
current
Who do you call
head
her?
of the engineering
He'll find
guild,
it. It's okay.
Relina.
There it is.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
No, I was looking for the picture of Garrick here. I was like, where the fuck did I put that?
I thought you were looking for her name. It's like,
No,
I've named like
Relina
100 characters.
Oh no, some of the characters that are like people like Garrick that's traveling with you. Sometimes I'm like, what's his fucking name again? But like other characters, I'm like, no, I know that person. I love this character. Oh my god, I'll never forget this person. Once again, you guys are kind of brought into the main forge room. There's a lot of equipment and stuff that's been moved in and been brought about. Once again, standing by the primary forge, you see Relina standing there with the empowered rune hammer striking away at some equipment that she's got on the table. She looks up from her work silently regarding your group and her father. After a minute,
I don't know who's there.
she goes back to everybody except for Floop. Floop kind of wandered off to read stuff, as far as I understand.
She's just too
Keeper
hooked up.
or Zax is there with you guys. Is Keeper there with them, or are you working on brew stuff?
Keeper would not have opted to go like with everyone to oversee the ship. He would continue to work on brewing. Once it's all brewed and need to be fermented, he would like try and bring some of it to the king or to the Bugman's pub. You know what I mean? And just try and keep working on stuff like that. Probably just have a couple drinks himself. He's not well versed in naval or engineering or building or anything, so Keeper would just be off doing his own thing, like brewing more alcohol, perfecting the recipe kind of thing.
Vrail specifically is trying to keep an eye on Garrick in kind of a protective way because she knows her people.
Yeah. As you're there, like a number of other, you see like stout dwarfish people, sort of like wheeling in a few carts and other stuff of like tools and materials and other equipment. Most of it is also like either large, clean slabs of metal with chiseling equipment, or like papers and charcoals and other things like that. They're wearing like, you know, goggles and gloves, and you see like a number of them have like aprons on with different tools and things like that with them. As they're bringing in some of the equipment, I'm gonna say, Vrail, I want you to do for me a insight check.
All right. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Not a great check for Vrail, but
You can do it. Fuck. That's perfect. All right, so you
Literally.
really do get a read on these guys as they're wheeling in this equipment. There is a mixture amongst the workers in the engineering's guild of excitement and fear, because it's
Good.
like no one has ever come back from banishment before. So
Good.
this is a really weird and awkward thing. All these tools, all this equipment was like sequestered off in a closet somewhere, probably to be forged down into its base materials, because this all used to belong to him. You can see Garrick silently start putting on his apron, start like looking over each of his tools, you know, kind of like getting a bit of dust off of them here and there. Just, you know, making the work as he slowly starts to begin. You get the just feeling from Relina that, you know, there is the smallest amount of relief that her father is okay, but there's still just like a tremendous amount of frustration and shame that follows her current position, as she is still the leader of the engineering guild, and now she has to oversee her dad, the person who taught her everything, fucking do all of this. It's so very weird. There's just a lot of awkward tension.
Vrail would say to Rowena, get somebody to help him clean off his tools. He's going to need them.
To that, she slowly puts down her hammer. walks over to one side, picks up a pail of some kind of fluid, and walks over to her father, places it in front of him quietly, and then goes back to her spot on the forge. She's got a very cold demeanor about herself as she does this. And in that, you see, like, Garrick look up to Frail, gives you a nod and thanks quietly. You see him taking his tools. He starts dipping it in this material. It appears to be some kind of, like, sort of degreaser. Zax, actually, you would recognize this fluid. It is like a tool cleaner. It's like a mixture of not necessarily acids and bases, but there's like toner and stuff that's in it that if you like dip tools in it, it'll degrease and get a lot of the grit and grime and
it's like a mixture of like toner and lubricant, and like polisher.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like I'm missing the name for it off the top of my head, but this is
Quench. No.
Yeah, it's like tool cleanser. Like tradespeople have buckets of this shit lying
It's just
around.
oil. Like, people tend to just clean metal with oil. Like,
Yeah.
it's just oil.
Typically, yes. At least tradesfolk these days will usually have like very specific tool cleaning fluids that will help get some of that stuff. Like, it acts as a lubricant without oils, because oils can usually collect debris and get gunky and stuff. But I'm just right now just cannot for the life of me
Right,
remember
but
what the fuck it's called.
this is dwarven times, not cell phone times.
And I would imagine the dwarves would have this kind of stuff. They keep their tools fucking clean.
All right.
This is
Vrail,
dwarven stuff.
Vrail sees that the leader of the engineering guild is of no spoons to deal with this right now. So she turns to the group and says, anyone who wants to be part of history in a progressive, positive way, start helping Garrick clean his tools and do anything that he needs you to.
Roll me persuasion.
Will do. Yeah.
Okay.
Not bad.
Usually
Not bad.
she has better things in a crowd. Where
No, that's
did it say
okay.
that?
Because you're calling out like anybody that wants to be anybody that wants to be a part of this, like, fucking get out here and help out. You see a lot of the dwarves that are standing around sort of awkwardly and quietly.
Literally just trying to cater to the people who are already kind of excited about it. Just like
Yeah,
to
like
bolster them.
There's definitely some people that are there that are like, but you see very clearly there's like a collection of, I'm going to say, about 6 dwarf workers that are here, sort of milling about quietly. All of them look to Relina.
Yeah, I know that I
when
have
you
no
call
right to
out.
say any of this, but she's fucking busy.
They all like turn to her very pointedly, and there's a silent moment that follows where she looks up from her work, looks at each of them, gives a nod, and then goes back to what they're doing. And you see all of the dwarves like sigh in relief, like, oh, thank God. And they like run over. And you see them like just, quiet, like they don't say anything to Garrick. They just immediately start grabbing tools and cleaning them. They're like, getting everything straightened up, everything sorted. Like all of the shit was pulled out of storage this morning, like just now. Like none of this stuff has been sorted out.
Zax will pipe up, forgetting decorum, and just call out, "Who do I have to speak to about disposing of volatile dwarven weaponry?"
Yeah.
Even then, Vrail looks to Rowena like, shit, yeah, I have no idea. Fuck.
Yeah, to that, you see like some of the workers like kind of like look confused at the. Do you have it out, like the equipment?
No, it's still like, considering how many lava flows and stuff that are around, I'm not taking the chance. It's still in the spider mount.
Oh yeah. Garrick actually goes over and taps nicely on the back of the spider mount. It pops open the trunk a little bit, and he removes the bad pipes from the trunk of this of the spider and walks over to one of the tables, puts it on the table, and kind of like gives it a turn over and goes,
I recognize this.
I helped fix one of them up a while ago, but I'm not planning on doing that with this. I'd rather just not have it explode on someone.
And he like sort of like looks over to you and points a thumb at it and goes, "Do you know how this made its way past the committee?
How so?
They thought it was worthless garbage. They thought nobody in their right mind would ever use a set of bagpipes that lit things on fire."
Zax would take a moment and then just start laughing, and I'm like, wow, they don't understand how stupid some people are.
They just never imagined it'd be dangerous to the world, so they just let it go. And now look.
Vrail leans in very seriously to that person and says, "I would use that." It's amazing.
They just never imagined that this technology would ever get away from itself or blossom into something dangerous so that other races would get their hands on it and figure out how to use it.
Well, we found this in the hands of a halfling? Gnome? Something like that.
Halfling.
Okay, I'm not used to all the
We found this
humanoid
in the
races
hands
yet.
of fucking Grumbolgi out in the woods.
And it was a serious danger.
More than a danger enough for my beard. He grumbles, and then looking at the group, he goes, "I'll dispose of it if you've no use for it."
Oh, please, I don't have to. Does anybody get any of you want to use it? I'm not touching it.
No.
Quick parenthesis: if no one watches over Floops, she will keep on going from sign to sign and try to learn it, and will potentially end up somewhere else. She is not looking where she's going. She's just too happy to learn.
Zax will definitely use
Floops
Travis.
just having a little sojourn around Raugakal. Just a little toast in her mouth, like, I'm going on an adventure.
Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah. So if nobody claims the bad pipes, he nods to one of the other workers. They wrap it up and take it away to storage. And they'll decide what to do with it later. Floop, as you're wandering around, you do have this one soldier who's following you, sort of clonking along in his big metal boots, and he stands at all times now at an awkward distance from you. And yeah, you eventually find your way out of the engineering guild and back up towards the rest of the kingdom if you just continue to wander.
Wander, unless someone tells her, do you know where you are? If someone tells her that, she will realize that she's lost.
Oh yeah, if you ask the soldier where you are, he'll be like, "Oh, yep, we need to go back this way if we want to go back to your friends, or we can just wander. It's up to you. Right now, we're in the Cobbler's district." You look around and you see there is a number of shops that are selling big dwarven boots.
I was gonna say pillows. Like, she's just looking at pillows, like.
Actually,
I don't know how I got here, but there's
has a huge illumination, and she wants to find a bakery.
You find yourself in front of a shop that is selling pillows. There's a big sign on the front of it says "Thine Pillows." There is a crazy man inside by the name of Mike Lindell, screaming about weird conspiracies.
But Floop will try to go to a bakery. Yeah, a bakery.
Mac Londell. There you go. Looking around for the bakery, yeah, he just, escorts you to the sort of the collection of bakeries that are there. You find two bakeries that are sort of across the street from each other. The guard warns you that they are extremely competitive between the two. You see that one of them is being run by a younger gentleman who's still got a very short beard, and across the street there is another bakery that is being run by a very cantankerous old woman. So
woman.
there is, on one occasion as you approach, the two of them shouting at each other in Dwarven before angrily going back inside, presumably to make food. filled with hate.
She woke up
In
and
these
chose
moments,
violence.
throughout the day, Cassie, what is Saicy's getting up to?
Did she break out of her existential crisis yet?
I do not know if Cassie's back. She did excuse herself to go to the bathroom some time ago.
Right. At like 5 minutes ago.
Well, in that case, I will explain what my plan is. I will be the equivalent of the person that comes back to the workshop with Tim Hortons coffee for everyone and tidbits.
So you mean the blessing upon the party?
Yes. She's gonna like buy a shit ton of pastry. And,
Yeah, and there's just like regular black coffees and like creamers and sugars beside it.
Yeah, she's just gonna buy that for everyone working on the project, not just her party, but everyone who's willing to help Garrick in his project will have pastries and coffee.
Which of the two shops do you go into?
Floop will explain her plan to the soldier, and she's like, "What do you think? Who would be able to do that?"
You see like a bead of sweat make its way down his brow, and he goes, I am obligated to say that both of these shops would be equally capable in what you're trying to do.
He doesn't want to take sides. He knows the consequences.
Oh, competition.
And
It's like
he
a
leans
Starbucks
down to
across
them.
the street from a Tim Hortons.
Yeah. He's like, well, both of them can serve you biscuits and coffee if that's what you're after.
But with like cannons at their front door.
Oh yeah, no. In that moment, the two people, because you're standing in like the middle of the street, the two purveyors of these establishments fucking kick open the doors to their places, and march purposefully out into the middle of the road to where you're standing. And the old lady goes, right, you're the outsider that's here. You want some baked bread, yes? You looking for some coffee or tea?
Just beams super happily. Yeah, there are workers in the engineering guild that are working on a new project, and I want to give them all coffee and pastries so they feel better.
Ah, well, there's only one coffee and pastries that'll keep them sharp as they work on their projects, and that's old Mama Mom's. That's what it is. And you see across from the street the younger fellow marching out and goes, your bullshit will poison their minds is what it will. It's will and garbage. I'll show you real pastries. And he runs back into his bakery, and Mama Mum goes, not before I do, and runs back into her bakery.
There's just clouds of flour out into the street. Like,
yeah, they're just then like betrayingly moments late, like not even a full minute passes, as you're standing there in the street, and the guard looks down and he goes, oh, well, now you've done it. The two of them come bustling out, each of them with like a box of biscuits and like cookies with little jams in them, and like a collection of closed steins that have like, you know, steam coming out of them.
That from both and pay both of them. So they will have the choice when they arrive. She doesn't want it. Her
You offer coin to Mama Mum, and she goes, oh no, dearie, I couldn't take it all. It's on a discount just for you because, you know, first time's always slightly less expensive, because that's as close to free as dwarves will ever get. And to which the younger gentleman goes, yeah, because it's cheap garbage is what it is. Yeah, and it's made with weird ground up bugs or something. She goes, you take that back, you piece of shit. They both put their food down and immediately start fighting in the street. The guard has to get in between them and, like, you know, get them to go back into their bakeries.
Loop will gather everything, like in her in her tiny hands. She'll probably just decollapse her bucket and put everything in, so like
Oh, yeah.
nothing gets squished and stuff
The
like
two
that.
little crates actually stack.
Okay, so she grabs them and she was like, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, give me a strength check.
Oh, something that she does not have.
Yeah.
Well, actually, strength. Oh boy, she does. Okay.
4. All right, so, you don't know if it's the heat in here that's making your hands a little goopier than normal or what, but God, you just can't seem to get a grip on it. And at that, though, the guard sort of like holsters his hammer on his belt.
It.
The soldier that's following you around sort of like holsters his hammer and then gets both his hands around the crates and like hoists them up onto one of his shoulders.
Oh, I'm super strong. Let's go. And she waddles super happily.
He smiles very, very sheepishly behind you, and then like continues to follow, with like these 2 stacked crates of goods on his shoulders. As you can see in the distance, you hear Mama Mum call out from behind you. My crates on top means mine's better. And then it descends into like distant shrieking as the soldier following you just like sighs and grumbles a bit as you continue on. As you are making your way back to the engineering guild, Cassie, what is Sciences getting up to today?
Ding dang it, there's my mute button. Okay.
There you go.
Ding dang it, indeed.
Yeah. I think Sciences is kind of
Existential
seeing,
crisis.
yeah, sort of just doing her best.
Okay, good.
Trying not to trying to shake off what happened, but also trying to be helpful. Like, Floop was like wandering around trying to get like pastries and coffee and tea and stuff. Meanwhile, Scices is probably like going to find some like flour and eggs so she could just make some muffins out of her box to give to people who are helping Garrick as well.
Oh God.
Yes.
You are also looking to get your hands on some baked goods for the engineering team?
Yeah.
Yes!
Why not? Sciences was just like,
them!
oh, wonderful, an excuse to use my muffin box.
Oh,
Oh
boy.
God, you're gonna get that muffin box broken. They're gonna kill you.
Okay.
Oh boy.
See you, Sciences. Nice knowing you.
So,
It's
You-
fine, I'm already dead.
you
It's the worst
you
that can
explain
happen.
Double dead.
you explain to Barton, who's after sort of dropping off the group at the engineering area, makes his way back up to where you are in the accommodations. That you explain to him that you're looking to do some baking, that you have like a device, portable oven that can make muffins, and you would like materials with which to make muffins for the engineering team. I want you to roll me an insight.
Okay. That's alright.
Yeah,
That's
he
okay.
agrees to take you down to where he knows that there are 2 of the best bakers in all of this kingdom. You can tell he's not thrilled to do this. That when he has this idea, immediately he realizes that this is not a good idea. But agrees
Okay.
regardless to
And
take
so-
you down to this area.
Okay. Alright, so then, you know what? Something else happens then. Something else happens instead. So,
Okay.
so Sciences is introduced to these wonderful bakers and decides it might be fun and also helpful and will probably also help to take her mind off of it if maybe they would be willing to teach her how to make some things.
Okay. So you make your way down again to this street, down in the district of people that are, like it's not necessarily a craftsman district, but it's like a merchants area. And you see across the street from each other are two bakeries, Mama Mum's and Narcoth Nuts. That's across from it. Nakrith's Nuts. And you, yep. As you get to that point, you see Barden leads you to the exact middle of the street, puts his hands up in the air, and backs away.
Like, you're out of my hand? Goodbye.
Yeah, I am no longer involved. I did not introduce you to either of these people first. This is where you are if you want to do baking stuff. And from this, you see that there is, I think, two soldiers sort of in the not necessarily like far off, but like a little ways down the street, keeping a watch on things. The two people exit their establishments and make their way up towards you. Mama Mum, who is a very old, cantankerous woman of a dwarf. She's got like long gray braids that almost lead like straight down to the floor, and a great big apron and these like big fucking mitts of hands. Like and they're like calloused and like heavily, and there's just like flour up to her elbows, and she's got her sleeves rolled up. And she's got this big sort of like mother, like big grandma energy, like great big nose, and she sort of like waddles out towards you. At the exact same time, coming out from Narcoth's is a very young looking dwarf, also wearing an apron, also got his sleeves rolled up, and also has like a smaller, much more dexterous hands, also with flour and whatnot on them. And he sort of comes out, he's got a very shortly cropped beard, looking a lot more like the younger dwarves from The Hobbit.
Sure, yeah.
Like the very sort of like young, handsome looking fellows. The two of them make their way out to you at the same time. They are forcing smiles that you can see. And they
What
both
kind
their
of
hands.
smiles do they look like?
Do you want to carry that 16 insight, or do you want to try to roll higher?
I'll carry the 16, that's fine.
Yeah. They recently were threatened with jail time if they didn't calm down. So they are having to be civil where they are right now. So yeah, you just they're grinning and they're gritting their teeth as they do. And so you see my mom goes, "Oh, dearie, are you looking to have some biscuits made? Looking perhaps for some fine bread to be put together? Let the experienced hands of old Mama Mum make that food for you. Best in the kingdom, I promise." And Nakrith next to her goes, "Yeah, if you like your food being made from flour that's ground out of old beetles." And she goes, "You shut your mouth. I can't believe you came out of me. How dare you? Lazy creature." And he goes, "Lazy? How dare you?" And like, you see a guard down the street tap the handle of his two-handed hammer against the ground, and both of them go and like turn to you again with these like smiles. And Nakrith goes, "Allow the innovative, younger, more energetic hands make for you new recipes of the sorts of things that the engineering guild will be able to make. Not that old tired bread." That has been honestly sagging a bit as of late. She goes, "Ooh."
So I think Cyaces kind of sees a little bit of an opportunity here to not only be helpful to the engineering team, but also be helpful to these two people, in such a way that she thinks.
Mama Mum's just like, "Oh, at least it's not, limp bread. Good satisfying buns." Etc.
I'm so happy that I'm overseeing a bunch of people who are terrified to do something wrong than this.
So, Society's kind of pipes up. She's, oh, actually, I was hoping that, maybe I might be able to help out, with making something for the engineering team, at your bakery. And so you're both here, and both of you seem very skilled, and so I was wondering if maybe I could, learn something from each of you.
At that, Mama Mum very gently takes one of your hands and starts to lead you to her bakery and goes,
Okay.
"Of course, dear, I'd be happy to spread, to
Oh
share
my
with
God.
you generations of knowledge on baking. If, of course, you want to learn correct, you gotta learn right the first time. Please come along." And you see Nakrith over is in the street. He goes, "Oh, sure, you can come over after, and I can show you how things are really done."
Thieves gives him like a very sweet smile and very softly, like kind of like looks back at him as she's being pulled away. She's like, "I'll come to you next, I promise." She's like, "This is going to be fun, I promise."
You see, he actually manages a genuine smile, and sort of like hops about a little bit on his feet before trotting back into his bakery, assumingly to go make things ready. You are led into Mama Mum's bakery. You see that there's a lot of like big stone ovens. The heat is very oppressive as you come in, and yeah, she quickly shows you about. She shows you like the different techniques that she uses for kneading the bread and like how the flour is milled, and things like that.
Great. So I think Sices specifically asks, I was wondering if I know you have many specialties here, but I wonder if you would show me how to make your favorite baked good here. Something that's dear to your heart.
And you see her kind of like wiggle her shoulders a little bit and goes, "Making something for someone special, eh?"
Well, I believe that bringing food that is special to your heart is good for the hearts of the people that shares in that food.
It's Vrail.
Oh, of course.
Sices is in love with Vrail.
Far be it from me to pry into the business of an ancestor god. I'm so excited to help, though. Yes, of course. If you're looking to make something special, then the trick is to put your feelings into the dough itself, the very foundation of your baking. And she takes out like some ingredients and like in almost an instant makes some dough on like a large stone table in front of you. And she then with her big fucking meaty paws, she makes a fist and starts to absolutely pummel the fuck out of that dough. Just
It's gonna be
starts
so gluey.
pounding the shit out of it. And she goes, "Really put your feelings into it." Just like,
That's gonna
nothing
be some.
says love and affection like power. She just wham, like just fucking over and over, just like haymaker after haymaker into the dough. And then she sort of like at the end gives it a gentle little boop, boop, like little fluff. And that is the softest, most rising dough you've ever seen in your goodly life. Like just straight
That
up.
woman is after my heart.
She just
That's my
absolutely
kinda woman.
bodies this dough.
Oh yeah.
and then gives it a gentle little pat, and it's just like super soft and fluffy.
Oh yeah, so fucking like just the softest thing you've ever laid your hands on. You've seen halfling corpses get better treatment than this dough just now. Like,
Damn.
like, but yeah, and then she shows you like to the different kinds of glaze you can use for the breads, and the different ways that you can keep like meats and jams and things inside if you're making pies. She goes over a lot of the sort of techniques that they use and the dishes that can be made in that regard.
Lovely.
Yeah, the process
that's
takes
great.
like about an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's what I figured it would take.
She asked if you want to bake something with her while she's showing you all this stuff. Like if there's anything you have in mind.
Press the button. Yeah, I just got this. Boop.
Well, so Cyaces kind of goes back to that question that she had before, and she's like, "Well, what's your favorite thing to bake? I would love to make some of that."
she goes, "Oh, there's nothing finer than a great loaf of bread." And she walks you through the process as she's teaching you like what she knows about cooking and the different techniques that she uses. She shows you, and in the process bakes like a buttery loaf of bread with like a hearty crust on it. She then sort of cuts off a slice on the end and offers it to you.
Oh, Cyaces takes it and kind of like graciously kind of like nods her head toward her and then takes a bite of the bread.
As you do, the crust on the outside, like it is so soft and so buttery and so moist and warm. The crust is, though, however, probably the hardest thing you've ever put in your mouth.
I know bread's like that.
As you take a bite into the bread, she goes, "Oh, it's soft and warm and so welcoming on the inside, but hard." And she like grits her teeth on the outside, just like my late husband.
It's beautiful.
Love it.
Unforgiving on the outside, with the fortitude of the mountain itself.
Cyaces just like nods sweetly.
Yeah.
This is very lovely. I bet you this would pair really nicely with my favorite beef stew.
And she smiles warmly and goes, "Oh, dearie, it'll pair nicely with just about anything. Especially a special night with a special person, though I'm not asking questions." And she like puts her hands up and like giggles to herself like a little schoolgirl. And then she happily wraps up the bread for you, puts it in like a little basket and gives it to you.
And Cyaces very graciously accepts it. Thank you so much, Mama Mum.
"Oh, this is no trouble at all. No trouble, please. That will be 10 coppers.
Oh, sure. Cyaces gives her like a 10. Okay, hang on.
It's like a
20.
silver.
Yeah.
1 silver piece.
Just gives her a gold.
She happily accepts it and hands you back 9 silvers. She
Sure, okay.
Yeah. And like it doesn't even like, it's not awkward, doesn't occur to her. She just goes, "Okay," and makes you change and gives it back to you.
Right. Cyaces is remembering the way things are with
With
the
dwarfs.
dwarven people.
Yeah, like, nope, can't take money from you if I don't do something for it in exchange.
Very equitable.
Yeah, this bread is worth 1 silver, and that's how much you will pay for it.
Yes, okay.
That sounds familiar.
And Cyaces just kind of goes, right,
Yeah.
okay, and she just kind of nods.
Oh yeah, big smile. She lets you out of the store, waves very happily to you, closes the door. Standing across the street in the open doorway is, of course, the other baker there, happily waving to you, Nakrith.
And Cyaces just kind of like happily saunters over.
As you walk in, he welcomes you in and goes, "Some bread, hey?"
It doesn't have to be bread. What I asked Mama Mum is what her favorite thing to bake was. So I'm going to ask you the same. It doesn't have to be bread. It can be something else if you'd like. But I'd really like to learn.
And he goes, "Well, indeed, bread is her favorite thing to cook." And he turns and sort of mutters to himself, "Also, the only thing she can cook, some would say." He walks inside. Coming into Nakrith's Bakery, you see there is just a collection of equipment. That there are jars of spices and sugars and fruits and berries, as well as a lot of equipment that you think might look more at home in the engineering guild than in a bakery. That like the oven even has like these gaskets and valves and cogs that are all sort of whirring and moving. That there's like a big sort of like steam gauge and a temperature gauge and a bunch of other stuff.
Science food.
Yeah,
We're making science food this time.
Yeah. And he goes, so, what would you like? What can old Nakrith make for you?
Well, as I said, do you have a favorite food that you like to bake?
I gotta tell
Something
you,
dear to your heart?
dear to me. And he sort of like, scratches his chin a little bit. I do like cookies.
Oh, that sounds lovely. I love cookies.
All right. And he sort of like happily sort of like waddles over to an area and starts gathering a number of like, sugars and spices and a few little like berries and whatnot, and starts putting some things like, puts them into different hoppers attached to a machine.
Wow.
And like, takes an egg and he puts it into a thing and and then you see him turning and just like cranking a thing and you see steam coming out of certain things. And the machines start to whir. All the ingredients and whatnot going from the hoppers start to make their way down into the device. You see like these sort of like moving tubes start to plop out these doughs onto a tray, which then immediately moves the tray into the oven. You see him fiddle with some dials and levers as the oven begins to cook. And after he finishes sort of like fiddling with the last lever, he sort of like turns and leans on a table next to him, making his best attempt at looking very casual, and goes, so, Ancestor God, huh?
I suppose that is what you call me, yes?
Neat. He's sort of like, kind of like, rubbing tip of one of his fingers back and forth on the table. He's just like... So who are these lovely and exquisite cookies going to be for? I wonder.
Oh, well, I was hoping to boost the spirits of the engineering team who are helping out with the prototype, and what better to do that than with food lovingly made?
Yeah. And you see him kind of like, like puff up his chest a little bit. Happen to be a pretty good close friend with some of the members of the engineering guild myself, as you can see clearly. It's sort of, they're just looking at one of the machines. Bit of steam comes out and he goes, oops, and goes over and like starts turning one of the cranks a bit to try to keep everything nominal. And after a little bit, there's a little ring-a-ling, and the door to the oven opens up, and like a tray comes out, and on the tray are just about 24 of these cookies.
Just to paint a little picture for me, what kind of cookies are these?
You're seeing these cookies are like brown in the way that they look, sort of like an almost whiskey color to them, and you see pocketed through them there's small berries of some kind. It's sort of hard to tell now that they've been baked, and over the top you see it's like looking at the inside of a cavern that's glittering with diamonds. You see across the top of the cookie there is like this sparkling hard sugar.
It's diamonds.
It's
Straight up just diamonds.
It's diamonds.
We have a lot of these here. We eat them. We are dwarves.
Holy
very
shit,
gingerly, he takes like a
the
spatula.
Gorons dwarves?
Yeah. Scoops up one of the cookies, gives it a gentle blow, and then offers it to you.
Cyaces graciously accepts it, kind of bows her head to him, and she takes a bite.
Almost impossibly, the juices of the berries have been sealed in. And it's blueberries that are in these. And the cookie is like just a little bit firm on the outside, but so very moist on the inside. Like it's that soft, fresh cookie kind of thing. You got the crunch of that sugar that's glazed on the top of the cookie as well is just like, it's just such like a wonderful mixture of textures, like just the cherry on top. And within all of these sweet flavors, you actually get a hint of spices that have been mixed in. So like herbal spices, things with like a bit of a body to them.
Mhm.
And yeah. So that's the cookie.
Oh, so Xyces is just kind of um she nods like very happily and she's, oh, this is very lovely. This is very, very nice. Yes.
And he blushes and sort of like shovels and goes, ah, thank you. That'll be 10 coppers.
So Xyces kind of like learning from the last exchange that she had, like gives him the silver.
Yeah. And yeah, no, he very graciously accepts it. Sort of like holding your hand for just like a little moment as you hand it over to him, like smiling, and gives you a little bow before taking the coin and squirreling it away. He packages up the rest of the cookies for you in like a lovely little box.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Xyces takes the box and she kind of gives a little nod, a little nodding bow in thanks.
Yeah. With that, he like graciously bows and sees you out. In that particular case, thanks you very much for coming by and for offering him the opportunity to cook for you.
Thank you so much.
All right. As you leave, there is like another sort of growing tension between the two people across the street, but they're silent. They don't make any noise or shout any things at each other. And you are escorted by Barden happily back down into the Engineering Guild's quarter to bring them their snacks. As you are on your way down there, you actually meet up with Floop, whose sort of escort, the soldier, is carrying like 2 boxes of coffee and biscuits on his shoulder.
We're just gonna like just have a whole like, what do they call that in show business? Like the craft services.
Yeah, like craft
table?
services.
Just gonna have a whole one of those for
Whole
them.
craft services thing. Yeah, you make your way down there, and as you enter into the space, on that is where I'm going to wrap for tonight. As you arrive at the
Yay.
Engineering Guild with libations.
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 I had a whole. I
Yay.
did have a whole thing for when they showed up, but that's okay.
We'll save it for next time. I'm so excited for this.
Put a pin in
I
it.
also just
Make sure you write it down.
I also so badly want there to be like a Christoph Waltz dwarf or Herner Herzog like dwarf to be like, ah yes, you bring the libations to the Engineering Guild. Let us share in these refreshments.
They are crusty on the outside and bitter to drink. Perfection.
It is in its own way a perfection. How hard and crusty the bread can be on the outside, but soft and forgiving on the inside.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, how would he describe that other than saying what it is? And I'm like, I want to hear him say words like exquisite.
That's true.
I really do
I
need to
enjoy-
look up the nature documentaries that Werner Herzog has like narrated and just listen to those as I go to sleep.
Honestly, my favorite Werner Herzog thing was his entire episode that he was on in the Boondocks.
Yes.
Where it was just the worst stuff. Like,
Yeah.
he was describing how he was dying inside listening to this child. Like, it was so good.
Oh God, I don't know if that was actually him or if it was
I don't
someone that
know.
sounded
It was.
a lot like
No,
Was
him.
it
it
him?
was 100%. It was 100% him.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
That's what I thought. Like, I'm really good at voices, and I was pretty sure it was him, but I've never looked it up. But
That's very
it was definitely my favorite Werner Herzog
Yeah.
thing. I love him so much. His voice is magic.
So fucking good.
He has one of those magic voices. Him, Tim Curry, like,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh yes. He was in the Boondocks. There was another show that I was watching, other animated series that had a very similarly sounding person. I think it was Archer. That had a very similarly sounding character that was doing an impersonation of Werner Herzog, but not actually him.
There was also somebody doing an impersonation of Werner Herzog in what is it, Venture Brothers.
Yes, there was
the magic murder bag.
Were they doing Werner for that one?
I think so. Like,
yes,
they were
yes,
trying.
they had to.
Yeah, I thought they were doing him, or they were trying to do like a character from another thing. Either way, thank you so much, everybody, for coming out to our game. I know that I'm absolutely chewing the scenery with the Dwarven Kingdom, and I appreciate everybody sort of coming along with me on this adventure.
I'm really loving it. It's really great.
I love hearing you just argue with yourself in 2 different dialects.
It is very good.
We all know
Yeah.
Doc loves listening to himself. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, you're welcome. It's
No,
great.
it's good.
I get to sit back and watch my chat go.
Yeah.
Because remember, I'm also
I'm so
streaming.
happy you guys are enjoying this. But yes, we will be, at least on our channel here, we're going to be rating the Optimal Duo on the other end. For anybody that is new, please feel free to come and join our community with the Discord button down below. I believe Spooty Poots on your channel, you have a similar thing going on.
I do. I want to double check to make sure that it's correct and like it still links to my Discord. But it last time I checked, it was because I was making sure that it was implemented at all. So it should work. Yeah, you can find my my information how to figure out who the hell Envrail Olo is over on my Discord, on my Twitch, which has all the information for my YouTube and Discord and all that crap.
Twitch.tv/SpootyPoots.
Honestly,
All
just
one word,
Google
I believe.
Spooty Poots and
Yeah.
you'll find me. Like, Google Spooty like that.
But yeah, thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you all so much for your views and your donation, all of your bits and subscriptions and support that you show to our channel here at Evil Incorporated, as well as to Spooty Poots. We would not be able to do this without all of your wonderful support and love here. And thank you as well to our wonderful players. Going down the list here, of course, we've got Cassie D20 Love Chew playing Siaces Blueleaf, our Banshee Bard.
Good night, everybody. Be good to each other and to yourselves.
Yeah.
I honestly forget that Siaces is a banshee, not a ghost.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a wailing spirit that is so very nice.
Yeah.
Just the sweetest fucking ghost you'll ever meet. And of course, we've got our UNT abomination, Envrail Olo, being played by Spooty Poots.
Hello, and thank you everyone for coming out.
And of course, we've got Casey, the killing chick, playing Floop, our little frog person druid, the Grung.
Chaos with bakery.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Bakery chaos. And of course, we've got Warden playing our Thrycreen monk named Keeper.
Drink, 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 punch, 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 punch.
And last but certainly not least, of course, we've got Zax Triar, our goblin artificer, being played by Shaskar.
Luckily, not so explosive in these dwarven caves.
Yet.
Yet.
We
Yet.
will see you guys all next time. Of course, I've been Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terwat, your kind and benevolent DM this evening. Thank you all so much for coming out. We'll see you all next time. End of line.
I love you all.
Bye-bye.